Hokage I can fully level up with one click. Chapter 81-100. Chapter 81 The world is about to change. The huge office fell into a dead silence. 3 generations of Hokage folded their hands and remained silent. However, all this, in Danzo's eyes, is simply a shame. Like a slap slapped on the face. A moment ago, he kept saying that he wanted to dominate Chinyu's fate. Now it was easily counterattacked by Jiraiya. Most importantly, Jiraiya also said that Chinyu was better than him. Call him a product of the old days. For him, this is a huge shame. Okay, very good, Jiraiya, you really have become defiant. Danzo said twice. Don't forget, I'm Konoha's advisor, you're nothing. Neither is that kid. Having said that, Danzo smashed the crutches in his hand and said sternly, everything I did is for the safety of Konoha. You should know very well what problems will be caused once the 3 generations of Mizukage are leaked. Right now, your only choice is to follow my advice, otherwise you will encounter a crazy backlash from Kurigakure and Sunagakure villages. Moved even the 3rd generation of Hokage. Danzo, are you crazy? You're not going to use this to blackmail us into making a decision, are you? For Danzo's character, the 3 generations of Hokage are very clear. In order to achieve the goal, he will do whatever it takes, even his Hokage dares to murder him, let alone Chinyu. Humph. Danzo snorted coldly and said with a grim face, I'm thinking of Konoha, and now I will recall Chinyu and Namikaze Minato immediately. If he doesn't want to, then he has the heart to defect. Once we return to Konoha, we will put him in prison and seal the 3 tails. We must not let the murder of the 3rd generation of Mizukage flow out. When necessary, get the method of sealing the tailed beast from Chinyu's hands. Jiraiya's expression changed, and she stopped talking, but was stopped by the 3 generations of Hokage. Danzo is enough. 3 generations of Hokage said coldly, have you forgotten who is Hokage? Chinyu's killing of the 3 generations of Mizukage is beyond our control, but it must not be imprisoned or treated differently. Otherwise, don't blame me for turning over old accounts. Voice fell, and the momentum of the 3 generations of Hokage changed in an instant. If we say that the 3 generations of Hokage on weekdays are peaceful, with an amiable face, then the current 3 generations of Hokage give people a taste of decisive attack. This is what Hokage looks like. Danzo looked livid, his cheeks twitching. Danzo was visibly discouraged in the face of the tough Sarutobi Hiruzen. He has too many handles and was caught by 3 generations of Hokage. For example, when he went to the daimyo mansion, he failed in colluding with outsiders to assassinate the 3 generations of Hokage. Undercover people who use their roots, slaughter Konoha's competitors, and more. These are all selfish actions. Danzo also suspected that the 3rd generation of Hokage might have mastered any clues about his collusion with Orochimaru. The current situation made Danzo look gloomy for a moment, and finally left with a big stride. I can agree with your approach, but the person who monitors it is sent by me. Danzo, who disappeared in the corridor in a blink of an eye, the 3rd Hokage breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Jiraiya. You're impulsive this time and offended Danzo, he's very vengeful. Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Udatane twitched their cheeks. In their eyes, it is normal for the 2 masters and apprentices to speak ill of others behind closed doors. Now in front of them, but dragging them into the water. Thinking of what the 3 generations of Hokage said about Danzo, the 2 coughed dryly, and Homura Mitokado spoke up. Since things have come to a conclusion, it's not good for us to stay any longer and leave first. These words, Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Udatane hurried away. For a time, only Jiraiya and 3 generations of Hokage remained in the huge office. Okay, they're gone, I know you have something else to say. Three generations of Hokage spoke again. Jiraiya pulled up a chair and sat down without any hesitation. In addition to the information just now, Fukasaku-sama also brought me a sentence. This ninja world is going to change. What? Three generations of Hokage changed dramatically. The meaning of this sentence is too great. If it was an ordinary person, he would never take it seriously. However, the strength displayed by Uchiha Chinyu, and the talent like a monster, made him also moved. Now, given this intriguing speech, how can people not pay attention to it? Teacher, I guess Chinyu must know that the three toads will tell me all this before they say this sentence. Jiraiya said solemnly. When I was teaching him the art of psychics, I was as superficial as Danzo, thinking that I could easily suppress this kid by myself, but unfortunately I was wrong. In an instant, I learned the art of psychics. Not only was the summoning successful, but the three toads were summoned at the same time. This is something that is difficult for even me to do. As the face of Mount Myoboku, Jiraiya has certain privileges. For example, summon two immortals and display the combined sage art. Feel free to enter Mount Myoboku and more. However, all of this is based on the premise that he has obtained the approval of the Great Toad Immortal. However, now that Chinyu had never even entered Mount Myoboku, he was able to break the precedent and summon the three great toads at the same time. This alone is enough to see that Chinyu is different. You mean, even the two immortals of Mount Myoboku noticed Chinyu? The third Hokage said solemnly. Jiraiya nodded and said, the Great Toad Immortal had prophesied before that the ninja world would be in turmoil. I originally thought it was referring to the Third Ninja War, but now I think it's probably related to Chinyu. Furthermore, Lord Fukasaku told me that Immortal Big Toad decided to let Chinyu enter Mount Myoboku to practice sage art, hoping to use this to find a breakthrough in Chinyu's body. Let him practice sage art. Three generations of Hokage changed. Jiraiya, are you saying that Immortal Fukasaku intends to use the sage art practice to test Chinyu's learning talent? The strength he shows now is beyond our understanding. If even sage mode is a master, it may be a bit passive for us. After 15 years of dormancy, he was once shocked. Mangekyo Sharingan, a powerful Raiden Thunder style, a monster-like learning talent. Now even the third generation of Mizukage was killed, and the three tails were easily tamed. All this, even three generations of Hokage, it is difficult to do. If Chinyu is allowed to master the sage mode that Jiraiya has learned so hard, that strength will probably skyrocket to another terrifying level. Chapter 82 I just killed three generations of Mizukage. The furrowed brows of the third generation Hokage, Jiraiya sighed helplessly, and said, I have thought about this too, but with the talent Chinyu has shown now, he is not studying sage mode on Mount Myoboku, he can also go to Shikatsu Forest and Raichi Cave. Quote. Don't forget how greedy those big snakes are. If Chinyu gives enough conditions, it is not difficult to get the opportunity to learn sage mode. Having said that, Jiraiya took out the token that Fukasaku gave him and said, what's more, Immortal Big Toad has survived for a long time. With him staring at Chinyu, we should get more information. Three generations of Hokage fell silent. What Jiraiya said. As Jiraiya said, everything Chinyu showed was beyond their control. Moreover, let him leave for a period of time, practice sage mode, and test the depth of his learning talent. Maybe not a bad thing. Okay, since you already have an idea, I'll leave this matter to you. The third generation Hokage sighed. Be careful with Danzo until you understand Chinyu's position. Also, I hope you can find a way to improve Minato's strength, otherwise, in the face of Chinyu's rise, his chances of winning will become smaller. Of Hokage will attach great importance to Chinyu's departure and retention, as well as his position. But in the face of the choice of the next Hokage, the three generations of Hokage still tend to know the bottom line of Namikaze Minato. Looking at Jiraiya, who was rubbing his nose, the third Hokage said helplessly, "If you are willing to inherit this position, I don't have to have such a headache." Sannin in the past, how outstanding, is also the face of the old man. Now he can walk, retreat, and even you are hiding. If you were here, we Konoha would not be in this situation. Listening to these words, Jiraiya's expression froze at first, but then quickly recovered, and said with a blank look, "You old man, don't play emotional cards for me here. Don't forget, I raised a Minato to replace me. However, don't worry, when Fukasaku-sama left, I asked Minato a chance to learn Sage Mode. As long as he learns Sage Mode, his strength will definitely surpass me as a teacher." The face of Chinyu's strong rise, Jiraiya said that he was not worried, which was really a joke. Especially seeing his proud disciple being surpassed step by step. There is always a hurdle in my heart. So driven by selfishness, and with the help of a small relationship, Jiraiya became selfish. Hee, you're still the same guy, and you like to play tricks in private. The third generation Hokage chuckled and said, "I really hope that under the Sage Mode, Minato can surpass Chinyu." "Che, you old man, don't you believe in your disciple?" Jiraiya rolled her eyes and said, "Don't forget, Minato is Konoha's golden glitter, and his talent is the best among the many students I have brought. 1. With him going out in person, I believe that he will definitely be able to surpass Uchiha Chinyu. Just wait for the news." These words, Jiraiya disappeared into the office without turning her head. This figure leave, the third Hokage sighed quietly, stood up and looked at the Konoha ninja village outside the window. Did the ninja world really change because of a boy? 3 days later, Chinyu and his party crossed the border of Konoha, and after circumventing many war zones, they finally saw the sealed gate of Konoha. During these days, Chinyu also learned from Namikaze Minato's mouth that after the Shinwukun Bridge was bombed, Iwagakure lost the supply of food and grass. Vanguard was wiped out by Chinyu and Namikaze Minato, resulting in low morale. At the same time, the most important thing happened. In Kumogakure village, the third generation of Raikage personally led the troops, and attacked the tail orc Jinchuriki column force of Iwagakure village, and a larger-scale battle broke out. Although, the final outcome is not yet known. However, Kumogakure's approach gave Konoha shinobi a chance to breathe. With Iwagakure village has all stopped. It can be said that in the face of the four great powers, Iwagakure village's combat power and numbers are second only to that of Konoha, and at the same time even stronger than Kumogakure village. Kumogakure was obviously holding it, after suffering a loss in Chinyu's hands. Seeing that Iwagakure is also suffering at the front line, in order to suppress Iwagakure, the 3 generations of Raikage will take such a risk to attack the village of Iwagakure. However, when it was learned that the target of the 3rd generation Raikage attack was a tail beast, Chinyu knew that his purpose was obviously because Killer Bee knew how to fit perfectly with the tailed beast, and planned to take this opportunity to hunt the tailed beast to enhance the strength of Kumogakure village. "Chinyu, you are finally back." Uchiha Fugaku's voice suddenly sounded. 3 figures appeared in front of the team like ghosts. "Brother." Uchiha Itachi glanced at Chinyu and stopped talking. As for the boy standing beside Uchiha Itachi, who was 4 or 5 years older and carrying a dagger on his back, Chinyu also instantly recognized it. "Okay, if you have anything to say, leave it to uncle." Chinyu rubbed Uchiha Itachi's head and said, "Shisui, long time no see." In the last memory of Uchiha Chinyu, there is also the memory of Uchiha Shisui. Moreover, Uchiha Shisui has a gentle personality, and in the village, he is very concerned about the tail of a crane like Chinyu. In that vague memory, Uchiha Shisui also instructed, the last time he learned the art of shuriken. "Chinyu, I haven't seen you for a long time. I didn't expect you to hide so deeply. Last time I had the cheek to teach you the technique of shuriken." Uchiha Shisui smiled bitterly. Seeing this scene, Chinyu touched the tip of his nose helplessly. I can't tell him that the last crane tail was taken away by his genius. This beautiful misunderstanding can only keep him going. Okay, let's stay with the old things. You three came here in person. What happened? Uchiha Chinyu said. Words fell, even Namikaze Minato's expression stiffened. He passed the information about Chinyu to Jiraiya. Jiraiya has been refraining from talking about what happened next, as well as decision-making. Now Uchiha Fugaku is waiting here in person, enough to see the seriousness of the situation. I used Itachi and Shisui as an excuse to get rid of the scrutiny. I came out here to try my luck. I didn't expect to meet you. Uchiha Fugaku opened Sharingan, and after looking around, he said, the recent family gathering the ground is being watched by many Anbu people, and even more of them belong to the roots of Danzo. Quote. This kind of change, the first person I think of is you. I want to know what happened. Uchiha Fugaku didn't take it to heart for Namikaze Minato's presence. It can be said that in the heart of Uchiha Fugaku, Namikaze Minato is the only high-level Konoha he is close to. It is also the only hope that can become a candidate for Hokage. However, now that Chinyu is a variable, he still can't hold his breath. They've all acted. It's very efficient. Chinyu touched the tip of his nose and said, it's not a big deal. I just killed the 3 generations of Mizukage, and then turned the 3 tails over. It seems that Danzo is also getting old. Little things can't sit still. The small voice made the 3 of Uchiha Fugaku stunned. Looking at Chinyu's eyes, it became unreal. Killing the 3 generations of Mizukage and kidnapping the 3 tails, is this still a trivial matter? Chapter 83 Sure enough, everything is true. Chinyu, you said that you killed 3 generations of Mizukage, wouldn't you be joking? Uchiha Fugaku grabbed Chinyu's shoulder and asked anxiously. Brother Fugaku, it's true, we can also testify. Namikaze Minato smiled bitterly and looked at Chinyu's open backpack. The 3 tails are still resting in the backpack. When the 3 of Uchiha Fugaku heard the words, they were in a hurry, and they hurriedly surrounded them. Who disturbed this uncle to rest? Sanwei stretched and emerged from the backpack. Yes, is it a tailed beast? Uchiha Itachi was obviously startled, and subconsciously took a half step back and almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, Chinyu's hands were quick and he grabbed his shoulders. It's really Isofumio. As the head of the clan, Uchiha Fugaku has also seen the portrait of the tailed beast. For the scene in front of him, it still seems unreal. Hey, kid over there, I heard that you have Ichiraku ramen in Konoha, how about taking me to try it? I won't treat you badly. Sanwei said suddenly. Me, Uchiha Itachi pointed to himself and said, is this really okay? Don't worry, as long as I can eat enough, I won't run wild. Otherwise, I'm going to beat you up, Sanwei said in a sullen voice. You little saner, if you don't train for a day, your bones are itchy. Qinfeng slapped Sanwei's head directly. The dignified tailed beast is directly cowardly. Right. Uchiha Fugaku et al. Are not wrong. The dignified tailed beast, in Chinyu's hands, completely seemed to live as Erha. Is this still the existence they know that one anger can destroy mountains and forests? Brother, can I take it to eat Ichiraku ramen? Uchiha Itachi said after a moment of hesitation. However, as soon as these words fell, 4 figures flashed out in the dark, surrounding Chinyu and his party. Uchiha Chinyu, Lord Hokage of the 3rd generation, I hope you can visit the Hokage mansion. Anbu, who took the lead, said coldly. However, they clearly knew the purpose of this mission, and the moment they saw the 3 tails, their pupils suddenly shrank. Chinyu, Uchiha Fugaku's expression changed. Was quickly stopped by Namikaze Minato shaking his head and said, don't worry, there is no big deal with Teacher Jiraiya here. Chinyu, don't take it to heart. Don't worry, if I want to leave, they won't be able to stop me. Chinyu said with a smile. However, as soon as these jokes were spoken, the nerves of the four Anbu present were suddenly tense. When they came out, they were instructed by the three advisors. After the four looked at each other, they found that Chinyu had disappeared out of thin air. Alert! Anbu, headed by him, exclaimed urgently. Four Anbu ninjas immediately opened up. I'm here, don't take it slow, I don't care if you waste time. The voice floated in front of the sealed gate. In addition to Namikaze Minato, who was already used to it, the faces of the three Uchiha Fugaku and the four Anbu also changed drastically. This body instant technique is too fast. Uchiha Shisui's expression changed slightly. He is well known in the ninja world for his instant body technique. In the moment just now, the speed of Chinyu's explosion was not inferior to him. Go on, this is my kunai, let me know if there is anything. Namikaze Minato handed Hiraishin kunai to the Anbu ninja headed by him. Go, as long as you don't provoke him, he won't mess around. During this period of time, after getting along, Namikaze Minato also understood Chinyu's character. Approachable, but decisive in killing. There are principles of life, and there are untouchable scales. Yeah, Anbu ninja, who took the lead, nodded gratefully and quickly caught up with Chinyu. Watching the four leave, Uchiha Fugaku couldn't hold back his breath. Minato, didn't you agree to help me watch Chinyu? Why even killed the third generation of Mizukage and brought back Mizuo Isofu? I'm afraid Danzo won't give up on this matter. Namikaze Minato smiled helplessly and said, Chinyu's means are more than I imagined. However, to really get to the bottom of it, the third generation of Mizukage was killed by the backlash of the tailed beast. Chinyu only suppressed the three tails, and the responsibility is not on him. It's just that I'm worried that Danzo doesn't think that way, and if this is not handled well, I'm afraid it will make things more complicated. Uchiha Fugaku's expression changed. Now their Uchiha clan's position in the Konoha shinobi village is already very embarrassing. If something happens again, it will make things worse for the Uchiha family. Uncle, I'll go take a look. Uchiha Shisui's expression sank, and as soon as his figure swayed, he cast a teleportation technique and disappeared in place. In front of the Hokage mansion. It seems to be very quiet here, but there are already dark whistles all around. There are as many as hundreds of people. Jiraiya was leaning in front of the door, staring and waiting for Chinyu's arrival. The lecherous immortal, didn't you go to the bathhouse for a peek today? Chinyu greeted with a smile. Anbu, who was present, twitched his cheeks involuntarily. Jiraiya came back to her senses, and Kakuzu's eyes were twitching. If it was an ordinary person, exposing his old bottom like this would have already given him a punch in the head. You kid, you are really restless. Jiraiya suppressed the helplessness in her heart and said, let's go, they are all waiting for you. Don't worry, I will help you in this matter. Also, Fukasaku-sama has promised to give you a chance to learn sage art. After this is over, you can go to Mount Myoboku. As for Chinyu's character traits, Jiraiya has repeatedly confirmed with Namikaze Minato. So, when they first met, Jiraiya threw out the sweet pastry, hoping to make the next thing smoother. Okay, what's the benefit? Let's talk about it later. Let's get down to business first. Chinyu patted Jiraiya's shoulder with a smile. Otherwise, even if the business is messed up, it won't be of much use if you throw it out. Chinyu, who was the first to walk towards the Hokage building. Jiraiya couldn't see Chinyu more and more. He didn't know, facing the high-level officials of Konoha, and the hundreds of Anbu around him, under such strict guard, why he still had such great confidence. Teacher, here we are. Jiraiya knocked on the door, and after getting a response, he pushed it away. Everyone's eyes suddenly fell on Chinyu. Do not. It should be said that more is still placed on Neosuke. They are eager to confirm the authenticity of the intelligence. Sure enough, everything is true. 3 generations of Hokage said solemnly. Chapter 84 Danzo's mind. The huge office fell into a dead silence. After seeing the 3 tails shrinking countless times, like a rag doll, sleeping on Chinyu's backpack, the pupils of the 3 advisors including Danzo suddenly shrank. It can be said that the scene in front of him was too shocking. In their eyes, the tailed beast should be sealed in a vessel, or in a human body. To be able to act like this and act so harmless to humans and animals is completely beyond their cognition. If you don't see it with your own eyes, who wants to believe it? Chinyu, welcome back. 3 generations of Hokage spoke first. I have heard from Namikaze Minato's report about your activity on the front. I also heard about the fact that the country of water kidnapped Nohara Rin and planned to replace the 3rd generation Mizukage and become the Jinchuriki column force of the 3 tails. However, the person who died this time, the 3 generations of Mizukage, has been implicated in politics at the highest level, so for you and Konoha, we will make a few decisions after consultation. 3rd generation of Hokage went straight to the topic as soon as he opened his mouth, staring at Chinyu, trying to find a change in his face. The 3rd generation of Hokage is really straightforward. I like this way of doing things. If you have a decision, let me hear it. If it's reasonable, I won't mind. Chinyu smiled genially. Boy, you are presumptuous. Danzo snorted coldly. This understatement made their faces slightly changed. On weekdays, those juniors, when they saw them alone, were already full of awe. Not to mention, Chinyu is now facing the 3 high-level leaders of Konoha and Hokage at one time, and he can still be so calm. This can't help but make people think, what trump cards are there? Why am I being presumptuous? Chinyu smiled playfully. Is it because I let you need it to not be presumptuous? Don't forget, I came back with meritorious deeds, and should be rewarded for meritorious deeds, not a teacher to ask for guilt. The low voice made Danzo's expression stagnate. However, before he could speak this time, he was stopped by 3 generations of Hokage detectives. Okay, Chinyu is right. The 3rd generation Hokage's eyes flickered, and he said, this time, Chinyu is only indirectly related to the death of the 3rd generation of Mizukage. You have also made a lot of credit on the battlefield, but this time the matter is too connected, so I hope you can stay in Konoha village for the next period of time, waiting for the end of the war. During this period, I will arrange for Anbu to protect you. The slightly elusive voice fell, everyone's eyes fell on Chinyu, and even Jiraiya became nervous. He was entrusted by Namikaze Minato to solve this matter perfectly. If anything goes wrong, it's his fault. Is that all you need? Chinyu said indifferently. As long as they don't prevent me from eating, drinking, and picking up girls, it's not a big problem. I'm happy to relax, and I'll give you some face. Hearing these slightly teasing words, Jiraiya secretly breathed a sigh of relief. As long as Chinyu is willing to agree to this condition, the next thing will be easy to solve. He also explained to Namikaze Minato. Okay, since Chinyu agreed to this request, then Minato will be responsible for the next thing. A smile appeared on the face of the 3rd generation Hokage. Chinyu, if you have nothing else to do, then leave first. During this period of time, he also thought hard about a lot of candidates to monitor Chinyu. However, after some deliberation, it was decided to enable Namikaze Minato. Whether in friendship or strength. Namikaze Minato also has the art of Hiraishin, has good mobility, and is more capable of this task. Then I'll go first. Chinyu glanced at Danzo with a gloomy face, smiled genially, then turned and left. Jiraiya smiled helplessly. The face of Danzo, he was on the verge of worrying that it would cause trouble. Now that Chinyu is so provocative in public, this is simply the daring of a master artist. Teacher, I'm leaving first. Jiraiya followed quickly. However, just as he turned around, his expression changed drastically. Secret art, the art of turning the heart. 5 figures appeared in all directions in an instant, and at the same time displayed the secret techniques of the Yamanaka clan. At the same time, the 5 root ninjas also rushed out one after another, and all they used were sealing techniques. The 5 elements great binding technique. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. Even the 3 generations of Hokage and Jiraiya were taken aback. The corner of Danzo's mouth pursed lightly, and the moment he revealed a playful smile, he also burst into flames. A blink of an eye, Danzo appeared first behind Chinyu, and many curse marks spread out from his left hand, which he photographed directly on Sanwei's body. Sealing technique, self-worked curse seal technique. As soon as the shot was taken, 5 people from the Yamanaka family, under the leadership of Yamanaka Wind, performed the art of turning their hearts around. Then let Aburame take the root and activate the sealing technique to limit Chinyu's actions. And, it was Danzo who attacked Sanwei. This plan, in the eyes of the 3 generations of Hokage and others, is exceptionally seamless. However, the person they faced this time was unfathomable, and was known as Chinyu, who had been lurking for 15 years before becoming a blockbuster. At present, this method is probably not enough. Danzo, your methods are really disappointing. Chinyu smiled warmly. In the moment of turning around, he had already activated 9 Tomo Sharingan. If you really want to say, whose spiritual power is stronger, Yamanaka Feng's 5 people add up, I am afraid it is not as good as 1/10 of Chinyu who owns Tsukuyomi. At the moment when the secret technique was performed, the 5 entered Chinyu's consciousness space first, and the first thing they saw was the huge Sharingan suspended in the consciousness space. The magic seal formed by the flying in his hand stopped instantly, and his expression fell into a dull state. Seeing Aburame taking root and others attacking, Chinyuju Tomo Sharingan turned in vain, and Susanoo quickly condensed. The huge body and the burst of air waves directly blew away the approaching Danzo and Aburame and others. The originally small Hokage office was also directly broken through. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves, and even Danzo was moved by seeing the huge body about 10 meters tall in front of him. He had also seen this kind of monster once in Uchiha Madara. It is precisely because of this battle that the original Hokage eventually fell seriously injured. Susanoo in front of him can be regarded as the incarnation of disaster. Orangutan Yuhi exudes a fierce aura. Chapter 85. I also like more people to practice hands. The huge Susanoo appeared, the Hokage mansion was instantly destroyed. Under the strong wind and waves, the rolled-up building fragments scattered around, like a storm. Is this the legendary Mangekyo Sharingan owned by Uchiha Madara, the most powerful pupil technique? The 3rd Hokage rushed out of the ruins, looking at the huge body, a look of anger flashed across his face. Danzo, are you crazy? Why not follow the negotiated decision? The hysterical growl made both Jiraiya and Homura Mitokado's expressions change. Hokage, who belonged to the moderate faction, would be so furious. However, before they could react, Susanoo's right hand suddenly probed, and with a gesture of lightning speed, he directly caught Aburame who was thrown away and took the root. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. Danzo, who fell to the side, turned ashen, and shouted in a hurry, Chinyu, let go of the people quickly. You dare to destroy the Hokage mansion. If you are still in the village and kill your companions, then enough to be convicted of treason. Danzo, you're crazy. The 3rd generation of Hokage's face changed dramatically, and he shouted anxiously, you are not qualified to decide this matter, shut up for me. Chinyu, don't be impulsive, leave this matter to me. The rush of words echoed in the heaven and earth. The presence of Jiraiya and Homura Mitokado, and even a group of Anbu ninjas, have never seen it, and the third generation of Hokage is so furious. Unfortunately, some things can't be solved with just a few words. At least, not in Chin Yu's eyes. A warm smile appeared on Chin Yu's face. Ninetomo Sharingan turned in vain. Susanoo's right hand suddenly clenched. Don't! Aburame cried out in pain. His most powerful is the technique of sending bad insects, and he has all-pervasive means of attack. Susanoo, who has absolute defense and doesn't even have half a hole, it is obviously not useful. Facing Chin Yu's smile, like a death-threatening smile, the tingling pain all over his body hit his mind crazily the next moment. PFF'd. A sound like a watermelon shattering suddenly came out. Everyone's pupils shrank suddenly. Especially those Anbu ninjas, they ask themselves that there is still a big gap compared to Aburame's roots. In terms of means, it is even more incomparable. However, this kind of existence that can be called an elite Jonin is not enough to hold the 5 fingers tightly, and it is directly crushed like a watermelon. Now, in their hearts, there is only a little bit of luck, thankful that they didn't make a reckless move just now. Chin Yu, you are courting death. Danzo roared. Aburame takes the root, but he has spent a lot of effort to cultivate the confidant, and is the mainstay of the root Jinchuriki column. Under his warning, Chin Yu pinched him to death in public, which was the biggest challenge to him. Haha, this Susanoo is still very jerky when I control it. I accidentally pinched him to death. This is an accident. I believe Danzo, you will understand. Chin Yu smiled playfully. However, this smile, at this moment, undoubtedly became Kai Guguo's provocation. Come on, kill him for me. Danzo looked grim. As Konoha's high-level advisor and the leader of the Roots, this is the first time he has been so despised by others. However, as soon as the voice fell, 2 figures, like ghosts, surrounded Danzo one after the other. Enough Danzo. Jiraiya squeezed Danzo's left shoulder. As for his right shoulder, it was caught by Namikaze Minato. Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui, who came closely behind him, turned pale when they looked at the illusory figure standing in the ruins in front of them. What they feared the most had happened. Minato, Jiraiya, and Chinyu are unscrupulously killing their comrades in the village. This is a betrayal of the village. Danzo shouted sharply. Don't stop me, I will let this junior know that Konoha Ninja Village is not a place where he can act wildly. Quote. Danzo is enough, Minato and I are not stopping you. Jiraiya looked at Chinyu, who was in Susanoo, and said solemnly, we are worried that you will be killed. A small voice, at this moment, swept the audience like a hurricane. The head of the dignified Roots, and the 3 high-level leaders of Konoha. The strength that Danzo possesses can definitely be called cage level. It is precisely because of his strength that Danzo wants to become Hokage again and again. However, Jiraiya, who is now Sannin, gives this assessment. Whether it is true or not, but falling in the ears of other people is undoubtedly a slap in the face. Bastard, Jiraiya, what nonsense are you talking about? You kind of get out of the way, and I'll let you understand why I can be the leader of the Root. Danzo shouted angrily. However, the person who appeared first in front of Danzo this time was the 3rd generation of Hokage. Danzo, that's enough, you go back to me now. Without my order, you can't walk out of the mansion half a step, otherwise don't blame me for not remembering the old feelings. 3 generations of Hokage said coldly. In the past, you still weighed the pros and cons and knew what fear was, but now you are blinded by the benefits, and you haven't seen it until now. That kid, in such a riot in the village, facing so many people, he can still show a relaxed face, which proves that he is not afraid at all, and has enough confidence to escape. Die the same. Danzo's expression froze, and the moment he met Chinyu's gaze, he had no way to refute. It was the first time he had seen Sarutobi Hiruzen, an old opponent who had a good strategy, say such a lack of confidence. What's more, this is the Konoha Ninja Village, their base camp. In this kind of time and place, the 3 generations of Hokage also give this evaluation. For Danzo, it was more than expected. Chin-Yu, you killed the man, and your anger should be gone. Why don't you just let it go? Uchiha Fugaku was the first to lose his anger. As the head of the Uchiha clan, if he doesn't break the deadlock now, the situation will probably worsen. And, he also has a responsibility, in this case, to be fair. Looking at the smiling Uchiha Chin-Yu, Uchiha Fugaku's nerves tightened to ultimate. As for Chin-Yu's strength, he has always been hearsay. But after seeing it with his own eyes, Uchiha Fugaku realized that Chin-Yu's strength was far beyond his imagination. If Chin-Yu insisted on going his own way and wanted to make a big fight, his whole cards would be exposed. Once this time comes, the situation of the Uchiha family will be even more severe. Fugaku is right, the matter of Chin-Yu is here, and we will give you an explanation next. The 3rd generation of Hokage also agreed. This time it was Danzo being too reckless. Seeing that even the 3 generations of Hokage spoke to persuade, the expressions of the people present changed one after another. Looking at Chin-Yu's eyes, there is also a hint of urgency. A moment ago, the high evaluation of Jiraiya and others made it clear to them that if the teenager in front of them said no, there would be a fierce battle waiting for them. Hehe, since uncle, I talked to the 3rd generation of Hokage, I don't give this face, it seems that I have become a sinner. Chin-Yu smiled dryly, but I also like it very much. Danzo will send me some more people to practice. Practice your hands. Chapter 86. This joke is not funny. You bastard. Danzo growled savagely. As a high-level Konoha and a leader of the root, when has he been so despised by others? Moreover, Chin-Yu's strength is indeed beyond his control, but he still has trump cards. Danzo, shut up for me. 3 generations of Hokage shouted coldly. Mito, you send Danzo back to me. Without my order, you can't let him leave the root. Sarutobi you. Danzo is pissed. However, with the unmistakable gaze of the 3 generations of Hokage on the pile, the words that came to the mouth were instantly swallowed back into the stomach. With a sudden flick of his sleeves, he turned around and said in a cold voice, HMPH, I will go back myself, but I won't give up easily on this matter, even if there is anyone behind you to support you. Words. Danzo really didn't stay any longer. Him leave. Uchiha Fugaku's mood not only did not calm down, but became even more heavy. This beam is tied. Teacher. Jiraiya couldn't help looking over. 3rd generation Hokage sighed heavily and said, Minato, send Chin-Yu back first, and leave the rest to me. Namikaze Minato didn't dodge. From the beginning, he was uneasy. It's a pity that he didn't expect things to be so noisy, completely beyond his control. If he had expected it, he would never let Chin-Yu go to the Hokage mansion alone. The only thing that can be done now is how to repair the gap between the 2 sides. Chaotic thoughts flashed through my mind. Namikaze Minato flickered and fell on Chin-Yu's side. Uchiha Fugaku was obviously uneasy, and quickly followed. Chin-Yu, let's go. Namikaze Minato spoke first. Well, I've caused you trouble. Chin-Yu laughed dryly. Namikaze Minato said with a bitter face. Fortunately, you know how to keep your hands. Just kill one. If the group kills all of them, I can't handle this. I don't know what to say. Are you showing mercy or saving face for me? Next, don't forget to give me a delicious meal. And me, I didn't cause trouble just now. Isofuji Sano also got out of Chin-Yu's backpack. Looking at one person and one beast, at this juncture, he has not forgotten to eat, and Uchiha Fugaku's mood is even more heavy. With the departure of Chin-Yu and the 3, only Jiraiya and the 3 generations of Hokage remained in the huge ruins. The other Anbu members, apparently going to evacuate, the other village names and ninjas who were alerted. Jiraiya, if you use your whole cards, are you sure you can defeat Chinyu? The 3rd generation of Hokage suddenly spoke up. As a teacher, he is well aware of Jiraiya's ability. If it is said that among Sannin, Orochimaru's efforts are all poured into the development of forbidden technique. Tsunade specializes in medical ninjutsu. Then Jiraiya is the existence that is best at fighting. It can be said that Jiraiya is the strongest in Sannin's mid lane. 50% chance of winning, this is still the conclusion that Chinyu has no hidden cards. Jiraiya said solemnly. If he still has any cards, then I don't have much confidence. If there are other people in the field, they will definitely take a deep breath when they hear Jiraiya give this kind of evaluation. Sannin, that is comparable to the existence of Cage level. If you cast Sage mode, it is not difficult to achieve Super Cage level. However, now facing a junior, it is unbelievable to give such a high price. 3rd generation of Hokage was silent, and after a full 7 or 8 seconds, he said, "In your eyes, the most terrifying thing about him is probably not him now." Yes, his terrifying talent for learning, right? Yes, Jiraiya nodded solemnly. That's why I promised Fukasaku-sama, let him go to learn Sage mode, and make a final evaluation of his harmfulness. Studying Sage art in Jiraiya, the 3 generations of Hokage were also shown off by him. Therefore, it is clear how difficult it is to learn Sage mode. In each era, there are hundreds of thousands of testers, and only one can reach it. In other words, there is no way to achieve even one. Moreover, once the cultivation fails, it will turn into a frog, or be turned into a frog stone statue directly. It can be said that practicing Sage mode is a double-edged sword. After seeing Chinyu's horror with his own eyes, the 3rd generation of Hokage's mind flashed an absurd thought. If Chinyu fails, will it be better for the whole thing? However, as soon as this idea came up, it was suppressed by the so-called heart of justice of the 3 generations of Hokage. Then, when do you plan to send him? The 3rd generation Hokage sighed and said, this time Danzo broke the original agreement and fought Chinyu, and this hatred has ended. Although he didn't kill the 3 generations of Mizukage, he is also indirectly related to him, so I hope you will deal with this matter as soon as possible. Jiraiya nodded and said, don't worry, I will arrange for him and Minato to go tomorrow. It will take at least a few months to practice Sage mode. After this time, the 3rd Ninja World War will probably end. On the other hand, Chinyu, escorted by Uchiha Fugaku and Namikaze Minato, returned to the residence of the Uchiha family. Since the previous Uchiha Chinyu lost both his parents when he was young, his residence was arranged beside Uchiha Fugaku's house. Following them, there are Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi. You are finally back. Uchiha Makoto heard the footsteps and opened the door first. When he saw Chinyu, a soft smile appeared on his face. Chinyu, welcome home safely. Auntie, you're still the same, sweet-mouthed. I don't have any gifts, why don't I bring this to you? Chinyu raised Sanwei with his backhand. The sudden move made everyone bewildered, even Uchiha Makoto. Boss, you are immoral, you just accepted me as a younger brother, and now you give me away and spread it out. Other tailed beasts will not be so easy to fool. Sanwei was in a hurry. Who else talks about this thing? Uchiha Makoto couldn't help but startled and said, what is it? Isofu Mio, like Kyubi, 9 tails, is a tailed beast weapon. Uchiha Fugaku spoke first. Chinyu, this is a joke, but it's not funny. Also, are you planning to get your hands on other tailed beast weapons? Chapter 87 The Forbidden Land of the Uchiha Clan. Fugaku, don't be so serious, what should you do if you frighten the child? Uchiha Makoto glared and said, "Chin-yu, my aunt made a delicious meal for you. I have one more important thing to announce." Important things. Uchiha Fugaku and others couldn't help but startled. Chin-yu was no exception, but quickly looked at Uchiha Makoto's slightly bulging belly. "Auntie, are you pregnant?" The sudden words made Uchiha Fugaku's expression stagnate, and he said anxiously, "Makoto, is what Chin-yu said true?" Uchiha Makoto was stunned and said, "Chin-yu, I only found out when I went to the doctor just now. How did you see it?" At this moment, even Uchiha Fugaku and others noticed something was wrong. Could it be Mangekyo's power? Uchiha Fugaku frowned and said, "Makoto, be careful next time." "Itachi, Shisui, you go help with the meal. Minato, you also have a side meal. You haven't had a drink with me for more than a year." "Hehe, Fugaku, you are really kind. I haven't tasted my sister-in-law's craftsmanship for a long time. Namikaze Minato is not a fool." An instant, I saw Uchiha Fugaku's intention to discuss with Chin-yu alone. If it was someone else, Namikaze Minato would never let Chin-yu out of sight. But as a good brother, Namikaze Minato is very clear that Uchiha Fugaku will not bet on the fate of the family casually. Otherwise, the fate of the family will not be changed, and it will be placed on him. "Thank you, Minato." Uchiha Fugaku looked at Chin-yu after showing gratitude, and said, "Chin-yu, come with me, I want to chat with you alone." Yeah, Chin-yu did not refuse, at least with the kindness of the past. For Uchiha Fugaku's family, he still held due respect to the elders. Uchiha Itachi, who was stunned. "Just leave it alone for a meal, it won't mess up." Yes, what the boss said is correct, just give me a half-full meal." Sano Isofu didn't take Chin-yu's disrespect at all. Looking at the dignified tailed beast, it was enough to degenerate into a meal. This huge gap made Namikaze Minato feel helpless. But more, still shocked by Chin-yu's methods. If he was really allowed to encounter other tailed beasts, would he be tamed like the three-tailed beast? Once this time comes, the entire ninja world will probably tremble for it. Chin-yu followed Uchiha Fugaku and went all the way to the basement. Seeing that the mysterious sealing techniques along the way were lifted one by Uchiha Fugaku, Chin-yu knew that the purpose of this trip was probably a forbidden place for the Uchiha family. When they passed through the last corridor, the two finally reached the front of the seal gate. This gate, cast with special chakra iron, has the ability to absorb chakra. Able to be immune to a certain degree of attack. Coupled with some sealing techniques, a little bit of S-level ninjutsu can be broken. Chin-yu, you should have guessed that this is a forbidden place for our Uchiha clan. Except for the patriarchs of each generation who can come in, only those who have opened Mangekyo Sharingan can do it. Uchiha Fugaku said solemnly. This time, it's up to you to start. Chin-yu did not refuse, and took half a step forward. Nine-tomo Sharingan turned around in vain. The mysterious sealing technique on the door was spinning rapidly. The next moment, it turned into a blood-colored eye. A huge spiritual force rushed straight into Chin-yu's mind. HMPH, Uchiha Madara, get out of here. Chin-yu snorted coldly, and the huge mental power surged out like a frenzy. This is the sealing technique left by Uchiha Madara, activated by Mangekyo Sharingan. It will trigger the demonic illusion shock left by him to test the strength of the successor. Looking at Chin-yu, who was instantly sober, Uchiha Fugaku's expression changed. On that day, he entered for the first time. Although he also opened Mangekyo Sharingan, there was no way to do it to Chin-yu's level. At that time, it took him a minute to wake up, and he had been praised as a genius by the previous patriarch, his father. Now Chin-yu only took a short breathing time. This huge gap made Yuji Fugaku, who was already mentally prepared, also shocked. If he is a genius, then Chin-yu in front of him is Kai Guguo's evildoer. Let's go. Chinyu walked into the secret room first. There are many scrolls inside, and a rough stone tablet with a Mangekyo Sharingan carved on it. Uchiha Fugaku regained his senses and quickly followed. This is the place where our Uchiha clan kept ninjutsu scrolls and family iron news, but when Madara left, many of them were taken away, leaving only a few ninjutsu. You can read it. Uchiha Fugaku looked around. Later, as for that stone tablet, you can use Mangekyo to open it, and maybe you will get some special inheritance. However, before that, I want to know, what are your thoughts on going back to Uchiha Madara? Having said that, Uchiha Fugaku's eyes became a little sharper, and he wanted to see a change in expression on Chinyu's face. If I said that I met Uchiha Madara on the battlefield, would you believe it? Chinyu smiled and met his gaze. Voice was not loud, but when it fell to Uchiha Fugaku's ear, it shook his nerves like thunder. You really met him? Did you do what he ordered? Uchiha Fugaku's expression changed dramatically. From the change in his expression, Chinyu was more certain that Uchiha Madara never gave up to win over Uchiha Fugaku, who opened Mangekyo Sharingan from the very beginning. After all, this is a ready-made combat force. Moreover, as long as he can bewitch the patriarch of the contemporary Uchiha clan, it is not difficult to make a comeback again. Uncle, you underestimate me too much. Chinyu shook his head with a smile and said, he really wants me to inherit his will, but if I told you that he was killed by me, would you believe it? He was killed by you. Uchiha Fugaku's expression changed drastically. In their eyes, Uchiha Madara is like a god. After opening Mangekyo Sharingan, Uchiha Fugaku had also been in contact with him and of course knew his horror. Yes, he is already dead. There is no need for me to tell lies to lie to you. Chinyu said lightly. Hearing this, Uchiha Fugaku fell into silence and said after a long time, 10 years ago, I also met him. At that time, although he was equally old, he was still stronger than me. For the continuation of the Uchiha clan, I played against him, but unfortunately it didn't reach your height. Over the years, you should have also seen the decline of the Uchiha family. In fact, if he hadn't taken away all the resources of the family such as forbidden technique and ninjutsu, our Uchiha family would not have gone into decline. Chapter 88 The Inheritance of Uchiha Madara. Having said this, Uchiha Fugaku couldn't help but paused and said, I thought that the Uchiha family would continue to decline, but I didn't expect that geniuses like you and Shisui would emerge. However, I don't want you. You go Uchiha Madara's way. Even he can't escape the result of perishing. I don't want to let the family go to perdition again. Chinyu did not refute this remark. If Uchiha Madara didn't hide his clumsiness when he left that day, he would keep the scrolls of Mangekyo Sharingan, practice ninjutsu and forbidden technique. I am afraid that the Uchiha clan will not have only a few high-level combat power. How about a family? There are 7 or 8 Mangekyo Sharingan at the same time. Looking at the entire ninja world, who can compete with each other? Chinyu, I hope you can give me the answer. Uchiha Fugaku continued to repeat. Uncle, don't worry, my dream is to be a salted fish. As long as they don't overdo it, I will still keep myself safe. Chinyu said with a light smile. As the words dissipated, the field suddenly fell into a dead silence. After Uchiha Fugaku's eyes flickered, he finally sighed and said, since you said so, I won't ask any more questions. You have opened Mangekyo Sharingan, then look at the stone tablet and see if there is any inheritance suitable for you. It is also good to have more power to protect yourself. I'll go back first to see Makoto and the child. I'm getting old too. I'm afraid I'll give you a seat in the future as the patriarch. These words, Uchiha Fugaku turned around and left. Chinyu rolled his eyes and was instantly helpless. After so much foreshadowing, it turned out that everything was for the sake of being a hand lover. However, what he is most interested in now is the inheritance of the Uchiha family. After casually flipping through the scrolls around him, Chinyu finally understood why Uchiha Fugaku hated Uchiha Madara so much. Here are some other things that record how brilliant Uchiha Madara's record was during the Sengoku period, and how he extols his power. There are only 3 who have everything to do with ninjutsu. Kaden Fire Style, the art of fire singing. Kaden Fire Style, Dragon Flame Jutsu. Kaden Fire Style, Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation. In addition to the last Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation, as long as chakra is low enough, S-level power can be erupted. The rest are crap. At this moment, Chinyu finally understood what is selfishness from the great god. Still, it's not all Uchiha Madara's fault. As a great existence praised by the family, if it is surpassed by future generations. Okay, if he's dead, if he's still alive, knowing that Uchiha's title of first person has been taken away. I'm afraid I can't let go of this feeling. However, the smallest mosquito legs are meat. For others, it takes time to cultivate, but for Chinyu, there is no threshold for any ninjutsu. Ding dong, congratulations to the host Kaden Fire Style, the 1 key full level of the art of fire and singing. Ding dong, congratulations to the host Kaden Fire Style, Dragon Flame Jutsu for 1 click full level. Ding dong, congratulations to the host Kaden Fire Style, Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation 1 click full level. Hearing the sound of the 3 systems, Chinyu put the scroll back into the distance and looked at the rough stone tablet. On the steel, that vague Sharingan, his Mangekyo Sharingan was touched. The next moment, without any sign, it spun rapidly. Hum. A roar flashed in Chinyu's mind, and his consciousness quickly entered the demonic illusion space of the stone tablet. A huge blood-colored Sharingan is extremely dazzling in the dark environment. My heir, this is a memory of the Mangekyo Sharingan pupil technique I left on the stone tablet. If you can get it, maybe you can try this invincible technique. Uchiha Madara's voice suddenly sounded, and it felt very ethereal, giving people a sense of grandeur. Chinyu's 9-tomo Sharingan rotation suddenly stopped. After exiting the consciousness space, there was a jerky pupil technique driving method in his mind. Ding dong, it is detected that the host has acquired the Mangekyo Amplifying Eye, whether it is full level with 1 click. The sound of the system suddenly sounded. Chinyu raised his brows, looking very surprised. He just guessed what this so-called invincible technique is, and the system brought him a surprise. In the original book, Uchiha Madara's Mangekyo Sharingan, in addition to Limbo's art, has another unknown pupil art. However, according to Chinyu's speculation, this unknown pupil technique is actually an increase. A powerful auxiliary method that can enhance all attacks such as ninjutsu, hitomijutsu, etc. For example, Grand Fireball, Tengai Shinsei, Heavenly Obstacle Quaking Star, 3-headed Susanoo. All of this, I am afraid, is in the eyes of the increase, and is displayed into the forbidden technique-like power. Otherwise, in the original work, Uchiha Sasuke has already reached the same height as Uchiha Madara. Why is the ninjutsu he performed, but he is not as powerful? It seems that Uchiha Madara left the Uchiha clan and took away most of the ninjutsu scrolls. But it leaves one of the strongest pupil techniques. However, this is not incomprehensible. Uchiha Madara has always held the mentality of the strong, and does not care about the weak at all, even the clan is no exception. Instead of leaving some ninjutsu and forbidden technique scrolls, cultivate a bunch of mediocrity. It is better to leave the strongest pupil technique to the strongest clansmen, so that stronger chess pieces can be cultivated. However, if Uchiha Madara knew that his deliberate layout, the strongest pupil technique he left behind, was taken away by the person who killed him, I'm afraid I don't know what to feel. System, immediately reach full level with one click. Chinyu commanded, taking back his thoughts. Master, please wait a moment. Congratulations to the host, Mangekyo's amplifying eye has been fully upgraded with one click. The system's voice echoed in his mind. Chinyu smiled playfully, and had the urge to try it. The next moment, the stone tablet in front of him clicked, revealing a crack that traverses the entire Sharingan carving. It seems that this strongest pupil technique, Uchiha Madara, is only ready to be given to one person. Just like his domineering thinking, one chess piece is enough. After taking back his thoughts, Chinyu didn't stay any longer, and he got the strongest thing. Chinyu didn't have the mood to study and sing about the other Taiwan. One was killed by himself. After Chinyu left, the sealed door opened and closed automatically. The living room, Uchiha Fugaku hurried back. Looking at the people who were already waiting to eat, the seriousness on their faces was replaced by a smile. Everyone, let's eat first. Chinyu will take some time to come back. Uchiha Fugaku said with a smile. Makoto, you've worked hard this time too. After the child is born, Itachi, you will love him a lot. Dad, don't worry, I will take good care of my younger siblings. Uchiha Itachi agreed. But the next moment, looking at the eyes of the corridor, the pupils shrank suddenly. Brother, you came back so soon. Dad said you needed time. Uchiha Fugaku couldn't help but stunned, looked back hastily, and said, you didn't gain anything either. As the patriarch, Uchiha Fugaku was verbally passed down the secret of the stone tablet, but unfortunately he opened the Mangekyo Sharingan. But compared to Qin Feng, who has a system and has two strong spiritual powers, it is obviously not as good. It's a bit of a gain, and the strength has skyrocketed again. Chinyu smiled playfully, looked at Namikaze Minato and said, otherwise, let's learn from each other and practice. Chapter 89. Are you tickling me? You got something. Uchiha Fugaku's expression changed slightly. Even Namikaze Minato and others on the side were no exception. The strength that Chinyu has now is far beyond their cognition. If there are gains now, does that mean that the strength has risen again? Let's get a little something. Chinyu said with a smile. Okay, what do you have to eat first, and then delay it, the food will be cold. Uchiha Makoto persuaded. Namikaze Minato and the others were full of urgency, but they pressed down and ate hard with confusion. The time for a meal passed in a blink of an eye. Uchiha Makoto had just packed up the tableware. In the dining room, except for Chinyu, everyone else stood up in unison. Chinyu, I want to discuss with you. The three said in unison. Uchiha Fugaku, Uchiha Shisui, and Namikaze Minato all looked at each other. Facing Chinyu's unknown harvest, he clearly held a trace of urgency in his heart. Dad, brother has gained something, but in such a short period of time, you probably haven't mastered it yet. Are you going too fast? Uchiha Itachi suddenly said. Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui froze for a while, obviously agreeing with what Uchiha Itachi said. In their eyes, whether it is a ninjutsu or a pupil, it takes at least a process to learn to master it. No, Chinyu, I believe you have already learned it. Namikaze Minato said with a firm expression. You Uchiha clan are famous for their pupil skills. I think your gains, if it is pupil techniques, then the speed of learning will be faster, right? Uchiha Fugaku and Shisui's expressions froze for a while, and their expressions suddenly changed when they watched Chinyu nodded with a smile. It can be said that the time difference between Uchiha Fugaku and Chinyu returning to the living room is only a minute or two. In such a short period of time, I am afraid that even the pupil technique will not be able to adapt. The time you have been in contact with Chinyu is too short, and his learning ability can be called a monster. Namikaze Minato's mouth was easy to say, but his face was more solemn, and said, then, we have to fight a battle. Field. In the village, Chinyu said with a playful smile, there are at least 30 or 40 people on guard outside. If they miss something, they will be bitten by Danzo and won't let go. Uchiha, Fugaku and Shisui also looked stagnant. Not long ago, Chinyu even destroyed the Hokage building, and even killed Aburame to get his roots. Although the main responsibility lies with Danzo, Chinyu is now being watched. If there is more trouble, it will indeed be targeted by Danzo. Don't worry, we'll leave the clone here and practice outside the village. Namikaze Minato smiled playfully. Hiraishin Kunai was taken out in the backhand. The next moment, Chinyu and others, with the help of Namikaze Minato's Hiraishin technique, disappeared into the mansion. Only one avatar remained. Boom! From Konoha Shinobi Village, in a huge basin. 5 figures descended on the ground like ghosts. Minato, your Hiraishin technique has become more and more proficient. Uchiha Fugaku glanced left and right, and said, in the future, if you really want to escape, I'm afraid no one will really be able to catch it. Listening to these words, I don't know if it was a compliment or a demeaning remark. Namikaze Minato reluctantly touched the tip of his nose and said, okay, let's make a quick decision. All 3 of us want to fight Chinyu, who will fight first? In the hall just now, the unanimous actions of the 3 revealed their thoughts. After all, the strength Chinyu showed had already made them feel jealous. Now that there is a harvest, it will be a nightmare for them. You 3 come together, Chinyu said with a smile. A small voice, at this moment, swept the audience like a hurricane. Namikaze Minato's expression changed and he said, Chinyu, are you kidding me? Just kidding. Chinyu shook his head with a smile and said, I've always been serious. Remind you, wake up 12 points, my attack power is bursting. Looking at Chinyu who was full of confidence, Namikaze Minato sank. After looking at each other, they reached a consensus in an instant. Go! Uchiha Fugaku exclaimed urgently. With a swipe of both hands, more than a dozen shuriken flew out instantly, turning the angle and attacking Chinyu together. At the same time, under the rapid flipping of both hands, a series of spells were formed, and the fiery chakra accumulated under the mouth, and was swallowed out in an instant. Kaiden Fire Style Great Fireball Jutsu. The 7 to 8 meter grand fireball instantly condensed and rolled out towards Chinyu. At the same time, 2 figures appeared first behind Chinyu. Rasengan. The Water Blade. The tyrannical chakra fluctuations were driven to ultimate. One casts the Hiraishin technique, and the other casts the tyrannical teleportation technique. It can be said that as Konoha's golden glitter, and the name of Shisui, who is resounding in the ninja world, it is simply the ultimate speed. However, Chinyu was already mentally prepared, and at the moment when the blood in his eyes flowed, Jutomo Sharingan turned in vain. The powerful pupil power exploded like a frenzy. Gorilla Yuhi, like a raging wave, turned into a huge Susanoo of dozens of meters. 3 attacks landed on Susanoo, it was as if they were attacking an invisible wall. The great fireball jutsu was instantly detonated. Rasengan and the blade of flowing water were directly annihilated. However, what made their pupils shrink the most was the Susanoo displayed by Chinyu, showing the shape of Shiro with 3 heads and 6 arms. Angry eyes round, compassionate smile, solemn and majestic. This is mind-blowing. His pupil technique has changed, and the breath he exudes is several times stronger. Uchiha Fugaku's face changed dramatically. Namikaze Minato and Shisui also hurriedly retreated. Looking at the huge figure like a small mountain, there was a hint of solemnity on his face. Are you trying to tickle me? Chinyu smiled warmly. If even the defense can't be broken, then this battle doesn't seem to need to continue. The low voice made the 3 of Namikaze Minato froze for a while. The 3 of them looked at the entire ninja world, and they were also outstanding existences. When were they so despised? When they looked at each other, a flash of determination flashed in their pupils. Chapter 90 The Difficulty of Super Defense Beasts. Use all your strength, don't hide your clumsiness. Uchiha Fugaku snorted coldly. Eyes rolled in vain, and the Mangekyo of the three-pointed star opened up in an instant. A burst of purple pupil power came out, turning into Susanoo more than 10 meters high. Uchiha Shisui also moved, and the blood in his eyes spread, turning into eyes like a sickle hooking the moon. Green pupil power, like a frenzy, turned into a Susanoo that was not inferior to Uchiha Fugaku. Looking at the three of them hand in hand, it's a big killer move. Although Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui, the Susanoo displayed can't compare to Chinyu. But Namikaze Minato looked a little shabby compared to it. In desperation, he bit his finger, and the moment the blood overflowed, he swiped directly on the palm of his hand. The art of psychic. Boom. Smoke rose into the sky, and a body like a hill appeared in it. Minato, you kid, it's rare to call me out. However, it's still better than that bastard Sharingan kid. Every time I come out, it's a thankless effort. Next time I meet him, I'll definitely teach him a lesson or two. As soon as Toad Wentai appeared, the barrel of the gun with the dry smoke in his mouth suddenly stiffened in the air. Looking at the behemoth in front of him, and Chinyu, who was in it with a warm smile, his heart seemed to be suddenly tightened by an invisible big hand. Ms. Wen, it seems that this is a good opportunity for you to teach me a lesson. The words mixed with playful laughter made Toad Bunta's nerves tense. Namikaze Minato, who had a wry smile and fell on his head, it was the first time he had the urge to his mother Sao. Minato, what are you doing? Why did you have sex with him? And you didn't notify me in advance, so you can prepare. Toad Wentai couldn't help saying. Namikaze Minato reluctantly patted Toad Bunta's head and said, Boss, we are going to learn from each other, but I remind you, don't look at Chinyu with the same eyes as 5 days ago, otherwise you will suffer. Just to learn from each other. Toad Wentai secretly breathed a sigh of relief. However, when he looked at Susanoo, who was blood-like and exuded a calamity-like smell, Yuhi's expression became a little more solemn. 5 days ago, this kid was clumsy, or is he stronger now? The breath he exudes has skyrocketed several times. I don't know either, maybe there is a hidden clumsiness, or a stronger one. Minato glanced at Chinyu and said, I can only be certain. If you don't take it seriously, you may die. As soon as these words fell, even Uchiha Fugaku and Shisui's expressions became condensed. Get your hands on it. The three of them reached a consensus in an instant. Blazing Spear. As soon as the Susanoo controlled by Uchiha Fugaku shot, the 5 fingers were caught in the void, the flames entangled, and instantly turned into a long spear. Without any bells and whistles, he directly stabbed Chinyu into the air. A shot was fired, and the air along the way, like a cloth, was instantly torn apart. The flames rolled back down, turned into a fire dragon of hundreds of meters, and roared away with the posture of Wanjun. Uncle, I'm here to help you. Uchiha Shisui snorted coldly. His Susanoo 99, the right-hand hurricane wrapped around, instantly turned into a spiral-pointed drill. Accompanied by the sharp hurricane tearing sound, the dark green hurricane, like a raging tide, instantly rushed into Uchiha Fugaku's kilometer fire dragon. Fire rides the wind, and the wind helps the fire grow. At the moment when the two merged, the fire dragon instantly soared to a kilometer, and the storm rolled back, and the sound of the dragon roared into the sky. Minato, you use Kaden fire style, and I use toad oil to break Chinyu's defense in one fell swoop. Let that kid see how serious we are. Toad Wentai hurriedly shouted. Good. Namikaze Minato hurriedly agreed, and under the rapid flip of his hands, Toad Bunta's abdomen suddenly swelled. The next moment, the attacks of the two blazed out simultaneously. Kaiden, Fire Style, Toad Oil Refinery. As soon as the three attacked, the fire soared into the sky, and the whole sky was illuminated. Qin Yu, who was standing under the attack, had an even bigger smile on his face. Tomo Sharingan turned frantically, his pupil power was extracted like a frenzy. Boom! The blazing flame instantly drowned Qin Yu in a monstrous gesture. The rewinding waves of fire caused the surrounding rock basins to scorch instantly. The three of them succeeded in one hit and quickly opened the distance. At the same time, a pair of eyes stared straight at the battlefield, with a hint of urgency on their faces. You guys, don't be too nervous, being hit by such a powerful Kaiden, Fire Style. Even if there is Susanoo, it will be melted. Toad Wen said too hastily. However, the hand it grabbed the bong suddenly clenched tightly. Looking at the ferocious figure in the firelight, his face changed drastically. It's the hardship of the beasts recorded in the family Tuin. Uchiha Fugaku exclaimed. Looking at Susanoo with 3 heads and 6 arms in the firelight, he was covered in a layer of armor like a samurai, and his eyes were almost split. Fugaku, what method is this? The Susanoo that Qin Yu used seems to have increased its power again. Namikaze Minato asked eagerly. Even Uchiha Shisui, who was beside him, couldn't hold his breath. What he was best at was pupil art, and the blow just now was almost his ultimate killer move. Coupled with Uchiha Fugaku's Kaiden, Fire Style attack, the power has skyrocketed several times. However, in the face of Qin Yu's defense, it seemed pale and powerless. It's the booster eye, Uchiha Fugaku said solemnly. I also saw it in Uchiha Madara's codex. After he opened Mangekyo Sharingan, one of the pupil techniques he possessed was an augmented eye that could greatly enhance the power of ninjutsu, pupil techniques, etc. Now the difficulty of the beast that Qin Yu is using is to use the augmented eye to reduce Susanoo's defense. The strength is increased, the armor that turns into. Now Qin Yu's defense has increased by at least 3 to 5 times. What? Namikaze Minato's face changed suddenly. The defense just now has left them helpless. Now it has increased to 3 to 5 times, which can definitely be called absolute defense now. A sense of powerlessness quickly sprang up in Namikaze Minato's heart. The next moment, an absurd thought flashed through my mind. Fugaku, what would happen if the booster eye was used in an attack? Namikaze Minato said hurriedly. At the same time, a roar sounded in Qin Yu's mind. Under the rapid operation of the booster eye, the inheritance from Uchiha Madara resurfaced in his mind. The use of a ninjutsu is like a tide, quickly flooding Qin Yu's mind. Ding dang, it is detected that the host has learned Tengai Shinsei, Heavenly Obstacle Quaking Star, whether it is immediately full level with one click. Chapter 91. This is just an appetizer. The ethereal voice of the system echoed in Qin Yu's mind, making his expression stagnate. It can be said that in the original work, Qin Yu felt the most shocking, not when Uchiha Madara used the 6 paths mode, or when Limbo's prison. Tengai Shinsei, Heavenly Obstacle Quaking Star, that was displayed during the confrontation with the ninja allied forces and the 5 shadows. Like a meteor falling from the sky, with a diameter of 10,000 meters, that kind of apocalyptic attack makes people feel inexplicable suffocation. Originally, Qin Yu was very satisfied with obtaining ninjutsu such as Amplifying Eye and Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation in the forbidden area of the Uchiha clan. But compared to Tengai Shinsei, Heavenly Obstacle Quaking Star, there is still a small lump in my heart. The sudden inheritance now undoubtedly makes Qin Yu happy. System, full level immediately. Ding dong, please wait a moment, host. Congratulations to the host, Tengai Shinsei, Heavenly Obstacle Quaking Star, has successfully reached the full level with one click. The system's voice gradually disappeared from his mind, and Qin Yu withdrew from the space of consciousness. The moment when the blood moon-like 9-tomo Sharingan turned frantically, Susanoo with 3 heads and 6 hands moved with both hands. You mean the booster eye is used for attacking? Uchiha Fugaku couldn't help but startled. Uchiha Madara's deeds that I had seen in the past flashed in my mind, and the next moment my expression changed drastically. Susanoo with 6 hands flying quickly, his pupils contracted and he roared anxiously. Let's go quickly. According to the handbook records, if the booster eye is used on the attack, it can instantly destroy a ninja village. The hysterical roar echoed in the heaven and earth. However, before they could react, a huge black shadow was cast from the sky. An inexplicable oppressive force was born from the heart. Everyone's nerves were suddenly tense, and they hurriedly looked up at the sky. The moment they entered their eyes, the whole person was stunned. As if struck by lightning, he was dumbfounded. Huge meteorite with a diameter of 5 kilometers. The rolling gesture of falling from the sky caused the air and clouds along the way to be torn apart instantly. With a harsh roar, a huge meteorite fell from the sky. Escape, run away. Uchiha Fugaku growled anxiously. Faced with this kind of attack, he didn't think about fighting at all in his mind. The only thought is to run away. A madman, this is simply a madman. Toad Wenta's voice became hoarse, and a trace of fear flashed in the depths of his pupils, saying, Minato, if you don't take it seriously, you will die. I'm skeptical on horseback, and now I'm dead if I take it seriously. In this case, I can't use it now, so I'll go back first. Abandoning these words, Toad Wen disappeared out of thin air. Namikaze Minato landed directly on the ground, looking at Uchiha Fugaku and Shisui who were running away. A flash of determination flashed in his pupils. In a flash, he disappeared out of thin air. Shisui, Fugaku, you instilled chakra into me. This time we played too much and played too hot. If this meteorite fell, it would also be affected within a radius of several kilometers, so I want to transfer it. Go. Namikaze Minato appeared first in front of the two of them. Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui, who were originally frightened, looked at each other and looked at each other. Minato, are you sure? Fugaku couldn't hold back. Although he had a sense of powerlessness in his heart, as Namikaze Minato said, it was the result of their playing with fire. If he patted his butt and walked away, the consequences would be unimaginable. I'm 30% sure, it's the first time I've transferred this kind of thing. Namikaze Minato said with dry lips, but with your chakra support, I may be able to be 50% sure. We're running out of time, let's start now. Looking at the huge meteorite rapidly approaching in the sky and rapidly expanding in the pupil, Namikaze Minato threw the 3 Hiraishin kunai in his hand without any hesitation. At the same time, Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui pressed their hands directly on Namikaze Minato's shoulders. The chakra dormant in the body, like a frenzy, poured into Namikaze Minato's body without any reservation. With the roar, the 3 Hiraishin kunai collided with the meteorite in an instant. When, under the splash of sparks, Hiraishin kunai was nailed into the meteorite in an instant. The next moment, under the impact of the powerful air wave, Namikaze Minato's hands flew up. At the moment when a series of surgical seals formed and cold sweat oozes out of his forehead, a hint of determination flashed in the depths of his eyes. Hiraishin barrier. Hum. The vibration of the air suddenly sounded, and Uchiha Fugaku and Shisui felt the chakra in their bodies, as if they were emptied by a big hand in an instant. This place, Namikaze Minato obviously haunts here frequently, within a radius of dozens of miles, the Hiraishin spell has already been laid. When the last magic seal was formed, a Hiraishin enchantment covering the sky of 10,000 meters was instantly condensed. The black and ink-like cracks collided directly with the meteorites that fell from the sky. The huge airwave impact, and the huge impact force, made this crack, as if it was overwhelmed, and made a crisp cracking sound from the space. One after another cracks like cobwebs spread rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Minato, will it be impossible to transfer? Fugaku couldn't hold his breath and asked anxiously. This meteorite that fell from the sky was hundreds of meters away from their heads. Just looking up, there is already an inexplicable aura of death, attacking head-on. If Namikaze Minato does fail, then there is a dead end that awaits them. Don't worry, it can be done. The blue veins on Namikaze Minato's neck became prominent, and his hands clasped together suddenly. The little chakra left in the body was instantly drained. Hiraishin space enchantment, which had reached its limit, expanded a little in an instant. In the next moment, the situation quickly reached a deadlock, and there was a loosening. The meteorite that fell from the sky was swallowed by the dark space crack in an instant. After just 10 seconds, the meteorite with a diameter of 5 kilometers was completely transferred away. Looking at the restored clear sky and the disappearing crack in space, Namikaze Minato fell to the ground panting heavily. The sweat left on his forehead and the rapidly depleted physical strength made him unable to stand up for a moment or three. The whole body's muscles, under the frantic refining of chakra, came out with tear-like stings. However, before they could be happy, the words that fell in their ears at the next moment were like straw that crushed a camel. The performance is very good, but this is just an appetizer, and the hard dishes are still behind, but can you take the second bigger one? Chinyu smiled warmly. At this moment, it feels like a demon. Namikaze Minato and the others didn't have time to think about it, and hurriedly looked up at the sky. A little black shadow is rapidly zooming in, and the speed is so fast that the gesture of the meteorite that day reappeared in front of him. Crazy. Do not. It should be said that they feel that they are simply crazy. The moment before, they had to work hard and chakra, just barely enough to transfer a Tengai Shinsei, heavenly obstacle quaking star. Now Chinyu told them that this was just an appetizer. There's a bigger one in the back, if you hadn't seen it with your own eyes. I'm afraid no one will believe it. Riding on a horse, are we playing with fire and playing with ourselves to death? Namikaze Minato couldn't help laughing bitterly. Now it is difficult for him to even move a finger, the chakra in his body is exhausted, and he can't escape with the technique of Hiraishin. The only thing I can do now is to die. Chapter 92 He killed Uchiha Madara. A huge meteorite descended from the sky with a 10,000 stance. It quickly enlarged in their pupils, as if there was an invisible big hand tightly clenching their hearts. That bastard boy, is there no way to remove this ninjutsu? Uchiha Fugaku smiled wryly. Or just use up the chakra just like us. If you don't come here soon, then we'll be waiting to die. Hearing these words, Namikaze Minato, who was lying on the ground and gasping for breath, couldn't help but look up at the sky. At the moment of entering, the huge meteorite that fell from the sky quickly twisted like ripples on the surface of a lake. The next moment, it crashed into the sky. Do not. It should be said that in their eyes, the entire sky is like a star moving. When everything calmed down, there were still huge rocks in the sky. Only the traces of destruction from the first wave of attacks remained. Don't look at it, the second meteorite is just demonic illusion. I don't want to be depleted like you. Chinyu's voice suddenly sounded. The three suddenly woke up and looked at Chinyu who appeared behind them. They laughed bitterly in an instant, realizing that the battle was decided. You kid, I was almost scared to death by you. Uchiha Fugaku patted Chinyu's shoulder helplessly. However, we also lost convincingly. It's just that move just now, wouldn't you really be able to use the second meteorite to hide your clumsiness here? Regarding this question, Namikaze Minato and Uchiha Shisui couldn't help but looked at Chinyu with a hint of urgency on their faces. Looking at the entire ninja world, they are also considered to be the powerhouses standing above the peak. However, in the face of Qin Yu's attack, they walked behind the gate of hell, which cast a shadow over them. No, Qin Yu said with a smile. However, this statement is not false. With Qin Yu's current chakra possession, without the support of the three tails, it would be very difficult to cast the first Tengai Shinsei, Heavenly Obstacle Quaking Star. Not to mention the second one. Then I'll trust you for now. Uchiha Fugaku rolled his eyes and said, it's not too early, let's go back quickly, in case we get caught, but we'll end up in trouble. On the other hand, Konoha Shinobi Village, inside the route. Danzo's face was so gloomy that his hands clenching the crutches were also highlighted by blue veins. Hee, Danzo, I didn't expect you to find me in such a hurry. Orochimaru's voice came out suddenly. Soon a ninja in Anbu costume was seen walking in through the gate. After taking off the painted mask, his pale cheeks were revealed. It's really not easy to see you this time, there are a lot of Anbu along the way, you won't be kicked out by my teacher, right? Orochimaru stuck out Yuhi's tongue and said playfully. In Orochimaru's eyes, to deal with an old fox like Danzo, only 3 generations of Hokage are qualified to fight against him. It's Uchiha Qin-yu. Danzo turned his head and said with a gloomy face, I prepared 10 elites at the Hokage mansion, and even I shot myself, but I couldn't subdue him. Susanoo, who was also cast by him, killed the Aburame under my command to take the route. The small voice, at this moment, seems to be infused with magic sound. Danzo, are you telling the truth? Orochimaru's expression couldn't help but linger, and said, if you are telling the truth, I suspect that the war that happened in the village of Grass Ninja is related to Qin Yu. It was that kid who ruined the Grass Ninja village. Danzo's expression also changed. As the leader of the route, his intelligence network is still very large. On the second day after the destruction of Grass Ninja village, he had already received the news of the report, and he was still guessing who handled it. Yes, you should be curious, who will fight him in which battle? Orochimaru's face showed a trace of solemnity. If I'm not wrong, I'm afraid he killed Uchiha Madara. Boom. The cane in Danzo's hand was crushed again. Looking at Orochimaru's eyes, full of shock, he said, Orochimaru, do you know what you are talking about? That Uchiha Madara, who can only be defeated by the god of the ninja world, didn't die, but was killed by that kid. Are you kidding me? As we all know, in the Battle of the Valley of the End that day, the original Hokage Senju Hashirama killed Uchiha Madara with a slight advantage. It is precisely because of this battle that Senju Hashirama has completely established the title of the strongest in the ninja world. Now Orochimaru told him that Uchiha Madara was not only not dead, but was killed by Qin Yu. This huge gap made it difficult for him to accept. From the beginning, I was as unwilling to believe as you, so I wasted time to investigate. Orochimaru laughed dryly, a frenzy flashed across his face. However, Uchiha Qin Yu is still too tender, and he didn't kill all the people in the whole Grass Ninja village, let me find out the clues. He should have killed the elderly Uchiha Madara. I was far apart in the battle that day, but the traces of their battle were clearly presented in front of my eyes. It is indeed the Kekkei Genkei that I value. Danzo looked gloomy to ultimate. For Orochimaru, Danzo will not doubt. They are like-minded dark ones. Moreover, after seeing Qin Yu's strength, Danzo believes that it is not impossible for Qin Yu to win against the aged Uchiha Madara. Orochimaru, I want to know, how can you deal with that kid? Danzo spoke again. The smile on Orochimaru's face faded and he said, are you worried, is he jeopardizing your position? For this rare pair of eyes, of course I won't let it go. Also, I have successfully improved that trick recently, but I want you to take me to the Senju family's residence, and I want to pick up something. Danzo's expression suddenly changed, and he said solemnly, I didn't expect that even the second-generation Hokage couldn't do it, and you really succeeded in doing it. If Sarutobi knows, I don't know what the expression will be. Hehe, I also heard a lot of thanks to Mr. Sarutobi. If he hadn't ruthlessly expelled me from Konoha village, I wouldn't have easily torn off the mask and conducted research recklessly. As long as I get that thing, I believe it's easy to obliterate Uchiha Chinyu. Chapter 93 Special Welcome Ceremony. That's great. Danzo's face flashed a ferocious look, and said, Sarutobi is a fool, he knows that Uchiha Chinyu is an untamable mad dog, and he asked Jiraiya to send that kid to Mount Myoboku to study Sage Mode. Quote. His current strength is unfathomable, so I will take you to the Senju clan's station now, and I will obliterate him before he learns Sage Mode. Sage Mode. Orochimaru's expression sank, remembering the battle with Jiraiya that day, and said sharply, Don't worry, Sage Mode is not so easy to learn. Jiraiya spent 3 months on that day, but I couldn't even find the door to Raichi Cave. No matter how talented he is, at least he needs a process. Death is very close to him. Danzo glanced at Orochimaru, who was full of confidence, and a playful smile appeared on the corner of his lips. Then let's set off quickly, the rest is up to you. I want that kid to understand that not everyone can provoke him. At Uchiha Fugaku's house, Chinfeng and his party rushed back to the hall. However, the sight of the site made Namikaze Minato and the others smile wryly. Bang! Jiraiya raised her hand and smashed it directly on the head of the future 4 Hokage. You bastard, if I didn't take a look for myself and found out that these are shadow clones, I'm afraid I wouldn't know if you ran away now. Jiraiya reprimanded. You have to remember that as a guardian, the only thing you have to do is to never let Danzo find an excuse to attack Chinyu. Now that you're all right, take him back and run out. Jiraiya, who rarely peeked at the bathroom, Chinyu sat down with a smile and said, Lord Jiraiya, don't worry, Danzo definitely wants me to die. However, he must choose to act secretly. If I guess correctly, maybe he has been conspiring with someone to take the head on my neck. And when you came this time, I'm afraid you found some clues, and you plan to send us to Mount Myoboku in advance. The slightly elusive words came out, and the atmosphere in the field suddenly changed. Jiraiya's expression froze, and she rolled her eyes and said, Sure enough, there is no way to hide it from you. I do have something important to do, so now I plan to send you and Minato to Mount Myoboku to learn Sage Mode in advance, and I also brought the scroll. She spoke. Jiraiya undid the scroll around her waist and spread it out. The quickest way to enter Mount Myoboku is to perform a reverse psychic technique inside Mount Myoboku. But with the seal scroll of the Toad family, Jiraiya has a certain power to conduct directional channeling and transfer Chinyu and Namikaze Minato to Mount Myoboku. Teacher, do I want it too? Namikaze Minato said with a stunned expression. Now that the Konoha battle situation is not clear, can I move the time back? Now the village of Iwagakure is at war with Kumogakure. Mizukage, the third generation of the Land of Water, was indirectly killed by Chinyu, and the Battle of Kikyoyama in Sunagakure village was at a disadvantage. However, the situation on the battlefield was changing rapidly. If something went wrong, Namikaze Minato could rely on Hiraition's technique for quick support. Looking at your appearance, you shouldn't have been abused just now, right? Jiraiya rolled her eyes and said, I don't have enough strength, are you overwhelmed? This opportunity is rare. The battlefield is changing rapidly, but only by improving our own strength can we be able to respond to more emergencies. Namikaze's expressions froze. They glanced at Chinyu, and after remembering the scene of being abused just now, they nodded with a wry smile. Well, in order to avoid being abused next time, I really need to improve my strength. Haha, this is just like my student, but I hope you don't get hit. Jiraiya patted Namikaze Minato on the shoulder and said, "Goodbye." Reverse the psychic technique. The inexplicable words made Namikaze Minato startled, but unfortunately he didn't wait for him to react. Jiraiya had already cast a psychic spell and teleported them away directly. Inside Mount Myoboku, on the huge square. In addition to Fukasaku and Shima, in addition to Toad Wentai, Toad Jien and Toad Hero, together with a group of small toads are also present. Okay, I didn't expect Wentai to be suddenly summoned by Namikaze Minato to leave, but do you agree with the plan it proposed? Fukasaku asked while holding a cane. Since the boss proposed, I agree. Toadian nodded in agreement. Toad Hero, who was on the side, was no exception, saying, "Last time, he summoned us to deal with Isofumio, showing contempt for our three brothers, and he really needs a proper dismount." Yes, we agree too. That boy, since he is going to practice here for a while, of course he must be honest. The scene suddenly boiled over. For this group of toads who like to join in the fun. Even the things that the three big toads are in favor of, it will be a good show next. This kind of liveliness can't be made up for nothing. My child's father, is this really good? That boy's strength seems to be very good, and the great immortal, let us entertain him. Now that Mrs. Wen is not here, I'm afraid this matter is a bit wrong. Shima couldn't help but said. Shenzuo shook his head with a smile, and said, "This is Mount Myoboku, but it's our territory, how could that kid be so wild? Are we afraid we won't be able to suppress him? Besides, the child suffers a loss. It would be a shame if the father didn't act." Looking at Fukasaku's insistence, Shima shook his head helplessly, and the next moment his nerves suddenly tightened. They're coming. When Fukasaku and the group of toads heard the words, excitement immediately appeared on their faces. "Get ready, use the water cannons uniformly, don't worry that the kid will die, we will do our best." Fukasaku shouted loudly. Boom! In the huge open space of the square, as soon as the mysterious magic seal appeared, white mist lingered, and two figures immediately appeared. The face of such a long-distance space crossing, Namikaze Minato was well prepared, but also suffered a brief dizziness. And wanted to see the situation of Mount Myoboku clearly. The sound of breaking air coming from all directions made his pupils shrink suddenly. Water cannon. One after another water bombs swept out of the sky like cannonballs, and there were hundreds of them. However, the most unacceptable thing for Namikaze Minato is that the water cannon will increase in size with the size of the toad. In particular, Toad Jien and Toad Guang, the water bombs displayed by the two were at least 10 meters in diameter. If a ton of water hits a person, it will definitely shatter one's bones. This welcome ceremony was too unexpected. Haha, I found that I like this kind of welcome ceremony. Chinyu suddenly laughed. Immediately, Namikaze Minato's spine froze, and when he recalled what happened not long ago, his heart suddenly tightened. Chapter 94 I was shot while lying down. Susanoo. The blood in Chinyu's eyes was like a tidal wave, and it swept away suddenly. Ninetomo spun frantically, and the tyrannical pupil power quickly surged out. The huge Susanoo was quickly supported with 3 heads and 6 arms, directly comparable to the height of Toad and others. Boom! Hundreds of water cannons landed on Chinyu's body. The huge impact made Susanoo shake a little. The amount of water that splashed out was like a torrential rain, swaying the whole world. This is Susanoo of the Uchiha clan. His form is different from what you described. Fukasaku's expression changed slightly. However, this is only their first wave of attacks. For the appearance of Susanoo, they had already expected it. Toad Guang and Toad Jien moved instantly, and they slammed down towards the ground, like a big mountain, approaching Susanoo across the sky. The double knives and long fork in his hand slashed directly down, and the air along the way sent bursts of sonic booms. Looking at this violent scene, The eyes of the toads present brightened, and there was a hint of urgency in their pupils. Don't. Two screams suddenly sounded. In addition to the mouth from Namikaze Minato, there was also the mouth of Toad Bunta, who hurried back. The sudden scene caused a slight pause in the attacks of the two toads, and even Fukasaku, who was watching the battle, couldn't help but startled. After all, the welcome ceremony this time was proposed by Toad Wentai, mainly to kill Chinyu's arrogance. However, now Toad Bunta says no. This gap is a bit too big. Nita Wen, what's going on? Immortal Shima was the first to lose his temper. It was the first time she saw herself. This daring son who was not afraid of the sky, showed such a panicked expression. Unfortunately, before Toad Wentai could answer, Chinyu's words drifted away mixed with a smile. Okay, the return gift for you has arrived, please come out and receive the gift. Chinyu was in Susanoo. Susanoo with 3 heads and 6 arms moved, and instantly formed a series of spells. When his hands clasped together suddenly, Toad Wen was too stunned, and roared hysterically, "Escape, hurry up and escape from this place." The violent scene shook the minds of everyone, and followed the eyes of Toad Wentai to the sky. In the scene of entering the goal, even the 2 toads who shot were stunned. This is too much to play. A meteorite falling from the sky with a diameter of 5 kilometers, the shocking feeling is completely unmatched by ordinary people. If there is really a word to describe it. That was a disaster. Mad, you big lunatic, we are just joking, you don't have to make a big move. Immortal Shenzuo couldn't hold back his breath. It has sage art, but it is obviously powerless in the face of this Tengai Shinsei, heavenly obstacle quaking star. In the face of such a large-scale attack, unless you have a large-scale defense like Gaara in the original book. Perhaps, a stronger attack than Tengai Shinsei, heavenly obstacle quaking star, otherwise awaits them, but the test of death. Chinyu, can this attack be removed? Toad Wen was too impatient. It escaped from the battlefield just now, but due to the time difference and space jump, without the coordinates of the specific spell, he ran back home. When I thought about the ridiculous welcome ceremony I just proposed, and the doomsday attack method I encountered after being summoned to fight by Namikaze Minato. Toad Wentai didn't have time to think about it, and rushed back here desperately. Unfortunately, it was still too late. Sorry, I can only use this attack, but I can't resist it. Chinyu said with a smile. However, you can ask Minato to use the Hiraishin enchantment and he should be able to transfer again. It's me again. Namikaze Minato was stunned, feeling the urgent gazes from all around him, and came out with a wry smile. Why, what you did, I was the one who was hurt in the end. Okay, don't complain too much, I'm playing the role of the bad guy, and I'll give you the role of the good guy. It's worth working hard for Sage Mode. Chinyu patted Namikaze Minato on the shoulder. Looking at the meteorite rolling down in the sky, the 2 immortals couldn't hold their breath and hurried over. You brat, I'll settle the account with you later. Immortal Fukasaku said, biting Kiba with anger. However, as soon as these harsh words were spoken, Immortal Shima slapped the back of his head and said, if you hadn't indulged these children, this situation wouldn't have happened. I'll be in bed tonight, and I'm punishing you. Minato will trouble you this time. Injecting our Sage Art Chakra into your Hiraishin technique should be able to transfer this meteorite. 2 great immortals, as one of Jiraiya's teachers, of course know what ninjutsu Namikaze Minato can do. And the reputation of Konoha Yellow Flash, many of them have heard of it. Then you guys start first. I'll take a rest first. Chakra is a bit overdrawn. Chinyu yawned. However, with that energetic look, a toad almost gnashed Kiba's teeth. Unfortunately, at this juncture, no one dared to have the slightest dissatisfaction with Chinyu. An extraterrestrial meteorite has already made them stand ready. If there is another one, it will be a dead end. Go. Namikaze Minato snorted anxiously, looked at the fast-approaching rocks in the sky, and threw out 3 Hiraishin kunai in the same way. Hiraishin kunai held by the 3 toads quickly rushed in 3 opposite directions. After all, Namikaze Minato only came to Mount Myoboku for the first time, and there was no Hiraishin spell at all, so it was impossible to cast the Hiraishin enchantment at the beginning. 5 kilometers. 3,000, 2,000, 1,000. Okay. With the help of the tyrannical jumping force, the 3 toads finally rushed out 5 kilometers away. At the moment when the shouting sound came out, Namikaze Minato quickly flipped his hands. Hiraishin, S enchantment technique. 3 Hiraishin kunai instantly collided with the meteorite. The transferred surgical barrier immediately centered on the 3 toads and quickly tore open, like a huge mouth that was as black as ink. Feeling that the chakra in the body has just recovered a little, don't take it out quickly, Namikaze Minato's face instantly turned pale. Use our Sage Art Chakra, Fukasaku and Shima exclaimed in unison. The moment a warm current followed the toad's claws on his back, the huge Sage Art Chakra poured into Namikaze Minato's body. The space barrier that was slowly torn apart instantly seemed to have eaten a catalyst, and instantly turned into 6 or 7 kilometers. Like a black-silver river, he opened his mouth and swallowed the meteorite that fell from the sky. Such a shocking scene lasted for more than half a minute, and when everyone reacted, the meteorite falling from the sky with a diameter of 5 kilometers completely disappeared in the sky. The jet black crack also healed quickly. Whoosh whoosh. Namikaze Minato gasped, and fell to the ground. Although he is blessed by the power of the 2 great immortals, the consumption of physical strength and the depletion of his own chakra are also not a small burden for him now. However, the words that fell in his ear the next moment made Namikaze Minato, who had just breathed a sigh of relief, almost broke his nerves. The big thing is bad, the madman is gone. Toad Wen said too hastily. A cold air rushed to the forehead of all the toads in the field, and Namikaze Minato, who was lying and was also shot. Will something happen again? Chapter 95 He said he has learned. Are you Uchiha Chinyu? Sure enough, there is no shortage of such powerful ninjutsu. Looking at the ninja world, I am afraid that few people can match you. On the top of Mount Myoboku, Chinyu saw a huge pavilion built here as soon as he reached the top. The big toad fairy lived in this place. Looking at the figure in front of him, it was obviously dozens of times larger than in the Hagoromo era. Chinfeng said with a smile, the big toad immortal is disturbing. Hee, young man, you are really interesting. Immortal Big Toad smiled kindly. You're special, I don't see the slightest future in you. There are only 2 explanations for this situation, one is the dying person, and the other is that your strength surpasses me, so I can't see through you. In my eyes, you are the second. To this statement, Chinyu responded with a casual smile. Immortal Big Toad, you are serious, you should know why I came here. I know, you are for the Toad Sage Art of our Mount Myoboku. The Big Toad immortal did not continue to entangle, and still maintained a lazy demeanor. However, for the trouble just now, if you want Fukasaku and Shima to teach you Sage Art personally, I'm afraid it will embarrass you 1 or 2 times. I hope you can understand. For the Tengai Shinsei, heavenly obstacle quaking star, that appeared just now, the great toad immortal is vividly visible. He doesn't care. But if there are 1 or 2 more, I am afraid it will make people overwhelmed. Sage Toad, don't worry, I will learn Sage Mode and I will leave. Chinyu responded with a smile. Also, I don't dare to bother the 2 immortals Fukasaku and Shima, I'm enough to teach myself. Self-taught. The great toad immortal frowned, looked at Chinyu with a warm smile on his face, and said with a sigh, this toad sage art, the cultivation process is very complicated. Once the cultivation fails, it will become a petrified statue. Also, if you can't adapt to control Sage Art Chakra, you will also partially turn into a toad. Once you lose control, you will change from a human to a toad. Are you still determined to practice it yourself? Having said that, the great toad immortal looked at Qin Yu, with a hint of urgency flashing across his wrinkled cheeks like tree bark. In his eyes, the advantages and disadvantages of cultivating toad sage art, he has clearly stated. If you weren't a fool, when you first came into contact with this mysterious sage art, you would definitely be the first to find a stepping stone. Thank you for the reminder from Immortal Big Toad. The kid asks himself for his talent and has a little confidence. If there is a scroll, self-study is enough, Qin Yu said with a smile. Immortal Big Toad was startled, and confirmed again and again, you really plan to teach yourself. In case of an accident, I don't care about the old man. Faced with the fact that his kind reminder was ignored, Immortal Big Toad was obviously also angry. However, Qin Yu still smiled and nodded and said, thank you, Immortal Big Toad. Immortal Big Toad was silent for a while, and soon his right index finger waved lightly. The scroll placed at the top of the back of the chair seemed to be pulled by an invisible force and flew straight towards Qin Yu. Boom! Qin Yu reached out to catch it, and his body was shocked by the tremendous strength. Looking at the big toad immortal who still kept his eyes closed, he had no intention of speaking at all. It seems that this old toad will also have a temper. However, Qin Yu didn't take it to heart, and he couldn't tell others that I was a god with a system. Able to fully level any ninjutsu, taijutsu, and one ki. I'm afraid that half of what I said, everyone else thinks it's an idiot. Qin Yu didn't care, and turned over the scroll in his hand. In addition to depicting a toad sitting cross-legged, there was also a description of how to operate the sage mode and how to absorb the power of nature for his own use. It can be said that at first glance, the content is very jerky. Ding dong, it is detected that the host has acquired sage mode, whether it is immediately full level with one click. The crisp system sound echoed in my mind. Qin Yu raised his brows, smiled, and gave an order. Immortal Big Toad, who had not spoken all the time, was startled when he saw the smile on Qin Yu's face. It can be said that from the very beginning, it planned to let Qin Yu see the mysterious and astringent beauty in the scroll, and then he asked for advice again without thinking. However, now it has once again exceeded its expectations. Is this giggling? Immortal Big Toad couldn't hold back his breath, and he stopped talking. However, before he could blurt out the words, he saw Qin Yu put away the scroll. Ding dang! Congratulations to the host sage mode for one-click full-level success. The ethereal voice of the system sounded again. A smile appeared on Qin Yu's face, and he handed the scroll back to Immortal Big Toad. Thank you for the success of the Big Toad Fairy. The boy has learned sage art, so he won't stay here any longer. Have you already learned it? Immortal Big Toad took the scroll and couldn't help but be stunned. In his memory, even the most gifted Hagoromo, learning sage mode, spent 7 days. Now Qin Yu just glanced at it and told him that he had learned sage mode, which is too much. Grandpa, are you okay? That kid didn't do anything disrespectful to you, right? Immortal Fukasaku threw himself down. Following him were Shima and Namikaze Minato, as well as a group of toads. After Namikaze Minato transferred the meteorite, Qin Yu was found to be missing. Fukasaku and Shima teamed up to activate Immortal Perception, quickly searched for Qin Yu's whereabouts, and finally caught up to this place. Qin Yu, are you okay? I heard that this is the forbidden area of their Mount Myoboku. If you break in at will, I'm afraid they will stumble when you learn sage mode. Namikaze Minato fell on Qin Yu's side and lowered his voice. Persuade. HMPH, it's still Minato, you kid. Immortal Fukasaku snorted coldly. Boy, I don't need to investigate what happened just now, but now you have broken into the forbidden area of our Mount Myoboku. If you don't apologize, even if we promised little Jiraiya to teach you sage mode, we won't guide you well. In fact, this time immortal Fukasaku decided to guide Chinyu's sage mode, which was the foreknowledge of immortal Big Toad. However, as immortal Big Toad said, this kind of predictive ability is very vague on Chinyu. Tengai Shinsei, heavenly obstacle quaking star, cast by Chinyu just now, was almost frightened. Now immortal Shenzuo distorted the facts in order to regain his place, obviously intending to suppress Chinyu's arrogance. However, the voice of the next moment made the people present stunned. He said he had learned it. Chapter 96 The Stunned Big Toad Fairy. The old voice swept the audience like a hurricane at this moment. The nerves of all the toads were tense at once. These words were not from Chinyu, but from the mouth of immortal Big Toad. Grandpa, you say he has learned it? Immortal Shenzuo couldn't hold back his breath. It has lived for more than 800 years, but it has not witnessed many successes and failures. They have great talent and stupid people, but to learn sage mode in an instant, isn't this a fool's dream? Boy, are you kidding me? It's so hard to learn sage mode. We Mount Myoboku can only learn 2 or 3. Now you say you have learned it as soon as you open your mouth. Are you demeaning us? Hold your breath. It can be said that Mount Myoboku, Shikatsu Forest and Dragon Crypt can be called the 3 holy places, precisely because sage mode cannot be copied, and each has its own characteristics. Chinyu, are you serious? Namikaze Minato was stunned for a moment, and was the first to lose his breath. Unlike other people, Namikaze Minato is well aware that Chinyu's pervert learning talent. I thought that he would only show this advantage over ordinary ninjutsu. If it is said, even sage mode is easy to learn now. This is too shocking. Don't you believe it? Chinyu rolled his eyes. Then I'll show you a demonstration first, and let you give up. Voice fell, and the nerves of all the toads, even Namikaze Minato, were suddenly tense. While staring straight at Chinyu, a hint of urgency flashed in the depths of his pupils. Together with the Big Toad Fairy is no exception. Who tilde? Chinyu took a deep breath, and after using the system to reach full level with one key, he had more ways to use sage mode in his mind. At the moment when the body is completely relaxed, I feel the natural chakra flowing slowly around. The air, which was flowing slowly, stopped at this moment. This is impossible. Immortal Big Toad was the first to lose his temper. The next moment, I couldn't help but suddenly opened my eyes, and when I entered the scene, even the great Toad Immortal was moved. All the toads present, and Namikaze Minato, even split their eyes. Sage mode. Chinyu opened his eyes abruptly, and the power of nature wandering around, as if encountering an invisible big hand, was pulled away abruptly. At this moment, Chinyu directly turned into a giant black hole, swallowing up the force of nature with a radius of 10,000 meters. The mysterious pattern quickly spread out in the eyes, forming the posture of the toad sage mode. The breath exuded is even more ethereal. If it is not visible to the naked eye, it is impossible to detect Chinyu's existence based on chakra perception alone. It can be said that Chinyu now seems to be integrated with the heaven and the earth. Really sage mode. Immortal Shenzuo's eye sockets were about to split open, as if seeing a ghost, he rubbed his sockets 7 or 8 times. Looking at the young man in front of him, it became a little unreal. A moment ago, he was full of questions about his talent, and that he could learn sage mode. Also show off 1 or 2 in public. However, now this face was beaten too fast and too hard. Popping, without questioning that. By the way, Minato, I forgot to tell you a training method. Chinyu said suddenly. When cultivating sage mode, you can use the experience overlap of Shadow Clone to increase the speed of cultivation. Of course, this also depends on the individual. However, with your qualifications, you should be able to learn it in about 10 days. Moreover, after the sage mode disappears, it can also be recovered in time through the clone. Chinyu said, while looking at these toads whose minds were confused. He sighed helplessly. I'll show you a demonstration myself, as a thank you for learning Sage Mode this time. Chinyu flipped his hands and instantly displayed Shadow Clone. This is the clone technique that Namikaze Minato taught him that day. The forbidden technique multiple shadow clone of the second generation Hokage. It can perfectly inherit the strength of the main body, but the amount of chakra has also been reduced. Boom. The two avatars appeared on Chinyu's side in an instant, and immediately entered the Sage Mode state without any instructions. Seeing that the three Chinyus could be in Sage Mode at the same time, the toads present gasped. Even the great toad immortal became unable to sit still. The next moment, after seeing Chinyu's body release Sage Mode, the avatar on his side was also released instantly. Sage Mode then appeared on Chinyu's body again. The sudden scene has become a straw that crushes the nerves. Even the great toad immortal was taken aback. You really are a monster. Not only did you learn Sage Mode in an instant, but you also came up with this method in such a short period of time. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. Big Toad Immortal said excitedly. Looking at this old toad, his whole body was shaking with excitement. Chinyu was really worried that if it was stimulated to suffer a heart attack, it would be a big trouble. Cough, you are serious, immortal Big Toad. My affairs on this road are all over. Next, Minato will ask you to take care of me. Goodbye. Chinyu smiled and waved his hand, releasing the reverse psychic art, return to the ninja world. By the way, I forgot to ask you how long Hagoromo took back then. The inexplicable words caused the big toad fairy to fall directly to the ground. The violent scene changed the expressions of all the toads, and hurriedly stepped forward to help them up. They don't know the name Hagoromo. However, for the great toad immortal, it was a dusty memory. Now thousands of years later, the name is mentioned again. This is simply shocking. Grandpa, what happened? Who is Hagoromo? Shenzuo couldn't hold back his breath, and asked eagerly. Namikaze Minato was curious about the toads surrounding him. No, it's not something you can know about. Immortal Big Toad sat back in his chair and said, as long as you know, you have to do it as a last resort, and definitely don't turn your back on him. You remember, he's probably not a monster that exists in this time and space. No wonder I can't see his future clearly. Words echoed throughout the top of Mount Myoboku. Toad and Namikaze Minato, who were present, looked at each other. It would be too shocking for the dignified great Toad Immortal to give such an evaluation. Moreover, this made them even more curious as to what kind of identity Chinyu was, and even Namikaze Minato had this idea. However, for Namikaze Minato, the most important thing to solve now is how to learn Sage Mode in a short time. Otherwise, it won't be able to do it after 10 days, it will be a slap in the face. Chapter 97 _ Boom. Uchiha Fugaku's house. A low burst of air came out, making it seem a little sudden under the dead night sky. The white mist shrouded, and Chinyu's figure appeared in it. Looking at the still quiet courtyard, Chinyu's brows could not help but wrinkle. Clang clang clang. The sound of metal collision suddenly sounded. Chinyu raised his brows and disappeared in a flash. Itachi, be careful, there are 5 people in the dark. Uchiha Fugaku shouted anxiously. When he shot a shuriken with a sneak attack in the dark place just now, he thought about using Susanoo. Pity that the entire Uchiha clan is being watched closely because of Chinyu's affairs. If at this juncture, Uchiha Fugaku also exposed his whole cards, that would probably push the Uchiha clan to the top of the storm. Moreover, under this kind of surveillance, it is possible to launch a sneak attack so smoothly. Whether it has anything to do with it, I am afraid it is worth thinking about. Sweden, water style, water dragon bullet. The sound of 5 tearing air rang out, and 5 water dragons burst out of the air, attacking all around at different angles. Uchiha Fugaku's face changed suddenly. In the face of such an attack, he was able to retreat completely. However, Uchiha Itachi can be called a genius in Konoha. However, that is also among the juniors. According to Uchiha Fugaku's speculation, Uchiha Itachi's current strength is comparable to that of Chunin. Is too difficult to retreat under these 5 major water dragon bullets. Susanoo. A familiar voice suddenly sounded, which made Uchiha Fugaku startled, and soon saw a familiar figure appear in front of Uchiha Itachi. Yuhi, the orangutan, is like blood, and Susanoo, who is full of the smell of disaster, exudes a frightening aura. One step ahead, blocking Uchiha Itachi. Boom! 5 water dragon bullets instantly hit Susanoo's body, and under the huge impact, Susanoo, like an iron tower, did not move at all. The water drops all over the sky, falling like a downpour. Brother! Chinyu, why are you back? Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Fugaku were taken aback, and they did not expect that Chinyu would come to the rescue at this juncture. However, before they could react, Chinyu's whole body disappeared out of thin air when the lightning flashed on Chinyu's body. This speed is too fast, even Sharingan can't catch it. Is it a lightning flash? Uchiha Itachi was taken aback. However, compared to him, Uchiha Fugaku, when Chinyu disappeared, directly displayed Mangekyo Sharingan. With this superb pupil power, he could vaguely see Chinyu, as if he had turned into a lightning bolt, plunged into the dark. That kid is back. According to the original plan, let's retreat quickly. A ninja wearing a mask said coldly. Abandoning these words, he turned and left without any hesitation. This time, they sneaked into Konoha in order to lure Chinyu to appear, and then sneak out of the village. However, just as he turned around and entered the figure first, his pupils contracted suddenly. Why did you appear here? So the rumors are true. The ninja's expression changed drastically, and at the same time he exclaimed, he took out a kunai with his backhand and stabbed it directly into Chinyu's chest. At such a close distance, the only thing he can do is to use this desperate move to force the boy in front of him back. Only in this way can he be able to save a trace of life. PFF'd. The hot blood tensed up, shining like fireworks. The masked ninja who shot was stunned. In the face of his desperate blow, the young man in front of him had no intention of avoiding it at all. He didn't even raise his hand to block. In the eyes of the masked ninja, it was completely a madman's way of killing 1,000 enemies and losing 800. However, just as this thought appeared in his mind, the last huge earthquake in his hand made him stunned. When the crisp metal collision sound came out, and the kuwu in his hand, at the moment when it approached Chinyu's body, the circulating arc directly collapsed the kuwu. The enormous power made him able to clearly feel the stinging pain from his wrist when he was dying. Looking at the flying world, accompanied by the sound of heavy objects landing, the masked ninja saw Chinyu disappear into place out of thin air at the last moment. At this moment, he finally understood that the young man who had recently risen in the ninja world was not a rumor. Dad, where did you go? Did you see clearly? Uchiha Itachi couldn't hold back his breath. The person he has always respected the most, arguably Uchiha Shisui. Also, from a young age, Uchiha Itachi took Uchiha Shisui as his goal of growing up. However, after seeing Chinyu's strength with his own eyes, as well as the fast-rising disguise as a pig and eat a tiger, Uchiha Itachi's young mind was instantly conquered by Chinyu. It's over, Uchiha Fugaku said solemnly. Soon, they saw Chinyu flash out in the dark and landed in front of them. It's over. Uchiha Itachi's expression changed suddenly. In his eyes, the time before and after was just 5 or 6 seconds. In such a short period of time, Chinyu killed all 5 ninjas who attacked. This speed is too shocking. The eyes of Uchiha Itachi, if it was him, he might not be able to escape this fate. Kill it. Chinyu patted Uchiha Itachi's head and said, "Go back and rest first, and leave the rest to me." Looking at Chinyu with a calm face, Uchiha Fugaku's expression suddenly changed, and he said, "You won't let one go on purpose, are you going to catch up to see who shot it?" Chinyu, don't forget, now the Uchiha family is on the cusp of the storm. This time they can make a sneak attack so smoothly, I'm afraid there will be other people behind them. I hope you can think carefully and don't mess around. The Uchiha family is in danger. Quote. The face of others, Uchiha Fugaku may have already shot to stop it. But after seeing Chinyu's great strength with his own eyes, Uchiha Fugaku did not dare to humiliate himself. "Uncle, don't worry, others have come to the door. If we hide, we will only gain an inch. You can't let your aunt and the child in your womb be implicated. Leave these things to me, I'm not just someone who can deal with it." Chinyu laughed dryly. The thunder arc on his body crackled, and the whole person disappeared in place like a ghost. Seeing Chinyu who had completely disappeared, Uchiha Itachi couldn't help but said, "Dad, do you need to inform Shisui?" Fugaku told Uchiha Itachi about which battle after Chinyu and Namikaze Minato went to Mount Myoboku. Even Uchiha Shisui's hidden strength was pierced. However, if it were before, Uchiha Itachi would definitely respect Shisui to the ground. But after hearing with his own ears, Chinyu's deeds after the 3 of them joined forces and defeated him. Although there is still respect for Shisui, it is no longer as awe-inspiring as before. No need, if he insists on shooting, I think in the world of shinobi, there are very few people who can stop him, but Chinyu didn't go to Mount Myoboku to learn sage art, why did he come back suddenly? Uchiha Fugaku frowned picked up, showing a confused expression. Chapter 98 Mitarashi Enko _ Konoha Village, outside the Seal Gate. The night was dark, like black ink, lingering. A petite figure flashed out of the dark without warning. The front is the sealed gate. As long as I leave here, I can see that guy. The messy thoughts flashed in my mind, and the scenes of parting that day quickly passed through my mind. Stay temporarily, who are you? A cold shout suddenly sounded. Soon I saw a figure, flashing out in the dark, and stopping in front of the sealed gate. It's you, little girl. Sarutobi-Samu raised his brows and said solemnly, "Enko, this has been done 10 times, and every time you have to force it, saying Orochimaru is back. Now, you're breaking out of the confinement room again, and you're giving me another headache." Seeing this stubborn little girl in front of her, Sarutobi-Samu also felt helpless. Since Orochimaru's defection, Mitarashi Enko has been attacking and sealing the gate every once in a while. Threatened to find Orochimaru's trail. However, the current Mitarashi Enko has just been promoted to Chunin and is only 13 or 14 years old, so no one will care about this. The first shock may even be regarded as a nonsense. However, as time went on, things got sour. Every time Orochimaru secretly comes back, Mitarashi Enko will make a fuss. In the end, they will all be imprisoned in the thinking room. Orochimaru's defection was unbearable, and his mind became confused. Yes, Orochimaru is back. This time he stayed for a long time. I felt his breath just now and left the village. Enko said anxiously. I have to say that in the world of Hokage, due to the war, the younger generation grew up quickly. Under the circumstances of this kind of slaughter and growth, Enko's figure has reached 1.6 meters now, wearing a mesh top, and on that small scale, it also exudes a girlish smell. Enko, don't be ridiculous, otherwise don't blame me for sending you to the thinking room again. Sarutobi-Samu said displeased. Counting on the last time you stormed the seal gate, you will be imprisoned for 30 days this time. Quote, "For this kind of thing that is regarded as unreasonable, whoever touches it too much will become unhappy. If you don't believe it, then you will be offended. This time I must ask Orochimaru to find out." Mitarashi Anko shouted anxiously. The shadow snake hand. A white snake suddenly appeared from the ground, and it was so fast that it quickly wrapped around Sarutobi Samu's right foot in a swift manner. The violent scene changed Sarutobi Samu's expression. The first few hits, Mitarashi Anko was just a simple hit and didn't use ninjutsu. After all, there is a rule in Konoha that once a ninja attack is performed on the ninja guarding the sealed gate, it will be considered a missing nin. So, from the beginning, Sarutobi Samu didn't take Mitarashi Anko to heart at all. Not to mention that a mere little girl would betray the village. However, this move at the moment was beyond his understanding, and when he realized it, the white snake had already opened its mouth and bit down on his neck. The feeling of dizziness pounded his mind, facing this Orochimaru-specific neurotoxicity. Sarutobi Samu only held on for 2 or 3 seconds before passing out. "It's finally settled, this time I have to ask him to find out." A trace of resentment flashed on Mitarashi Anko's pretty face, and he walked towards the door. However, just as she stepped out, a bright figure appeared in front of her neck in an instant. "You seem to have forgotten that the sealed gate is not guarded by one person." A gloomy voice came out, and the shot was obviously a ninja wearing an Anbu mask. As he said, "For the safety of Konoha Shinobi Village. The sealed gate is usually guarded by 2 ninjas, divided into one bright and one dark." Seeing the sudden attack, Mitarashi Anko's face turned pale. However, at such a close distance, she had nowhere to hide. Could it fail again this time? A wave of unwillingness quickly sprang up in Mitarashi Anko's heart. However, an unexpected voice suddenly sounded. "I'm sorry, she's not alone either." A figure entwined with thunder instantly appeared in front of Mitarashi Anko. The violent scene made Anbu Ninja's face change drastically. "It's you." The face of Chinyu, who even dared to make a scene in the Hokage building, as Anbu, of course he knew it. Seeing Chinyu's sudden attack, Anbu's ninja, in addition to being shocked, was hit on the back of the neck with a backhand. Boom! The sound of heavy objects falling to the ground echoed. Anbu ninja being solved in an instant, Mitarashi Anko couldn't help but be stunned. He hurriedly looked at the back in front of him, and his expression suddenly changed. "This is the family emblem of the Uchiha clan. Are you a member of the Uchiha clan?" Mitarashi Anko couldn't help but asked. "Let's go quickly, and take action on the guardian ninja who seals the gate. This is equivalent to mutiny." Since Orochimaru's defection, Mitarashi Anko has been locked in the thinking room, rarely leaving. Little is known about the recent ninja war. Therefore, in the face of Chinyu, who has recently risen strongly, it is not clear at all. "Hee, I didn't want to meddle in my own business. I was able to sneak out of the village, but I just heard you say that Orochimaru's whereabouts can be found, so I will take care of such troublesome things. I hope you didn't disappoint me." Chinyu smiled dryly. He reached out and rubbed Mitarashi Anko's head. Mitarashi Anko was stunned, and quickly broke free from Chinyu's hand. His cheeks turned cold. He quickly stepped back and said, "How can you rub someone's head casually? And you said that you can sneak out of the village without a sound, which is a big joke." In addition to the sealed gate, the entire Konoha village is sealed by the perception ninja with a barrier all the time, and even small bugs can easily be found by leaping. Besides, why are you looking for Orochimaru? Are you going to be his lackey? A series of questioning voices echoed between heaven and earth. Chinyu reluctantly touched the tip of his nose. "It seems that you idiot girl, you haven't heard of my murderous name." Chinyu pulled back his hand and said, "Let's go, they will wake up soon. If you still want to catch up with Orochimaru, you must talk to me well or you'll be spanked. Chapter 99 Enhanced Edition Seal of Evil Seal. You bastard, dare to tease me verbally. Mitarashi Enko's character has always been bruised. However, looking at Chinyu's playful smile, he was finally discouraged. After seeing with her own eyes the figure entwined by lightning just now, she clearly knew that the young man in front of her was not simple. At least a little better than her. Right. Only a tiny bit. Mitarashi Enko clenched his fists and comforted himself. As soon as we leave now, we will become missing nin. Do you really not regret it? What do you regret? Chinyu grabbed Mitarashi Enko's slender hand, turned around and walked away quickly. Come on, I am the Uchiha clan, and they are best at hypnotism. They will wake up soon and forget what happened just now, so you finish your work as soon as possible, and when you come back, you will still be the ninja of Konoha. Mitarashi Enko had planned to break free from Chinyu's hand, but when he heard these words, he couldn't help but startled. This time she went after Orochimaru's footsteps. However, it does not mean that he will leave with Orochimaru. Just now, she just acted with an obsession, but now she calms down and pushes hard, but she can't bear the consequences. As the two left, after 7 or 8 seconds, the bodies of the unconscious Sarutobi Samu and Anbu ninja moved involuntarily. This is advanced hypnosis, capable of performing subconscious activities similar to sleepwalking. Chinyu had arrived before Mitarashi Enko appeared. Originally intended to use hypnotism to make these two guards unconscious, but I didn't expect that Mitarashi Enko would collide at such a juncture. If she hadn't threatened to track down Orochimaru, Chinyu wouldn't have gotten involved in this troublesome matter. Even if she is a well-developed little girl, she is no exception. Okay, your curse mark should be able to make you perceive the existence of Orochimaru. Now is the time for you to come in handy, Chinyu said suddenly. Mitarashi Enko's expression suddenly changed, and he couldn't help but stop his footsteps, looking at Chinyu with unbelievable eyes. It can be said that in the eyes of Mitarashi Enko, the moment he became Orochimaru's apprentice, he became an experiment. Mitarashi Enko once stopped Orochimaru when Orochimaru was fleeing. Unfortunately, the final result is to be given an immature curse. I know a lot of things, but I'm not good at explaining, Chinyu said with a smile. You. Mitarashi Enko was suffocated, but before she could make trouble, the stinging pain in her neck made her face turn pale instantly, and she subconsciously raised her hand to cover the curse mark. Did you sense Orochimaru's existence? Chinyu raised his brows. Take your hands away, a little sealing technique I know can temporarily suppress the pain for you. You can suppress Orochimaru's spell, are you kidding me? Mitarashi Enko said, biting Kiba. Chinyu rolled his eyes and said, believe it or not, this is your problem. You wouldn't think that when you saw Orochimaru, it was so painful that you didn't even have the heart to speak. This incomplete spell was planted by Orochimaru on Mitarashi Enko's body. After all, as Orochimaru's disciple, she went to many places with Orochimaru as a cover to cover her ears. Although the memory was sealed by Orochimaru in the end, this spell was also planted with a perceptual seal that could not be approached. Closer you get to Orochimaru, the greater the pain will be. With Mitarashi Enko's current strength, I am afraid that the moment he sees Orochimaru, he will become unable to bear the pain and will faint in an instant. Looking at Chinyu with a smile on her face, Mitarashi Enko felt the tingling pain in her neck. She knew that what she said was not wrong. He did not trust Chinyu's ability to suppress Orochimaru's spell. This is the teacher she has always respected and one of the legendary Sannin. It's just that Chinyu moved as soon as the idea came into being. The black flame was wrapped around the second finger of the right hand, and at the moment when Mitarashi Enko hadn't reacted, it directly touched her neck. Strengthen the seal of evil seal. In the original work, Kakashi needs the assistance of the formation to be able to display the seal of evil, and temporarily seal the seal on Sasuke's body. But for Chinyu, having Uchiha Madara's augmented eye, everything is just a breeze. Facing the violent Chinyu, Mitarashi Enko's expression suddenly changed. However, just as she was about to move, she felt the tingling pain in her neck, which quickly subsided. Did it work? Mitarashi Enko was stunned. She never thought that the young man in front of her could easily use the sealing technique to seal Orochimaru's spell. Okay, now that the pain is gone, it should be easier to sense Orochimaru's whereabouts. Chinyu reached out and rubbed Mitarashi Enko's head again. This time, trust me, I didn't lie to you, I am a very powerful ninja. Snort. Mitarashi Enko snorted coldly, but this time he accepted Chinyu's gentleness. After a pause for a second or two, he turned his head and looked at the forest basin not far away. Orochimaru is over there, the feeling is strong, it's not very far away. These words, Mitarashi Enko rushed out first. Seeing this scene, Chinyu was instantly helpless. He suddenly remembered that Mitarashi Enko's character is almost the same as Uzumaki Naruto in the original book. On the basin 2 or 3 miles away, 5 figures stood quietly here. Lord Orochimaru, are you sure you do this? That damned boy will appear here. Yamanaka whined, face gloomy to ultimate. Aburame, who has been with his partner to death, was easily crushed into flesh-chan in public. This vivid scene made him want to swallow Chinyu Shung. Don't worry, with that kid's means, I believe he will arrive, but have you done what I asked you to do? Orochimaru smiled softly, the tongue of the orangutan Yuhi, on the dry lips swept over. Lord Orochimaru, don't worry, when you went to the Senju clan's station, I already got that thing. A look of confusion flashed on Yamanaka's face, and he took out a wooden box and handed it over. With these things, can you really defeat Uchiha Chinyu? According to Lord Danzo, that kid's strength may have reached cage level now. The failed joint attack in the Hokage mansion, Yamanaka had fantasized about using other means to defeat Chinyu. In other words, it can be done with the help of the number of people. If one person cannot, then prepare 10, if 10 cannot, then prepare 20. It is precisely because of this reason that the subsequent failure will lead to Aburame taking the route and being killed by Chinyu in public. Chapter 100. Do you really think I'm a fool? Hee, Yamanaka, you are still the same. Orochimaru smiled femininely. If you don't believe me, then you must also believe in Danzo. Since he entrusted this matter to me, it proves that my strength is not comparable to him. What's more, don't forget, that trick was developed by the second-generation Hokage, and after my hand improvement, the power is not a mere Uchiha Chinyu that can fight against it. Speaking of this, Orochimaru's face flashed a ferocious look, his right hand grabbed his cheek, and the corners of his eyes were also enlarged 7 or 8 times, and he said softly, his Mangekyo Sharingan is destined to belong to me. The ferocious voice reverberated in the forest. Cracking sound suddenly sounded, making Yamanaka's wind nerves tense. Don't worry, it seems that the death of Aburame taking the route is not a small blow to you, and even the most important field of perception is ignored. The Snake King smiled grimly. This is my person, it seems that the prey is hooked, and I'm guessing the same, putting people back on purpose. Lord Orochimaru, our people are all dead. A blood-stained ninja wearing an Anbu mask rushed out of the woods. However, the moment he appeared in front of Orochimaru, his pupils shrunk suddenly. An orangutan Yuhi's tongue, like a viper waiting for an opportunity, without any fancy, pierced his throat. PFF'd. Blood tightened, and Anbu's ninja fell to the ground in shock. Haha, since your mission has been completed, it's useless at all. Orochimaru smiled softly, looking at the dense forest not far away, and said, boy, since you're here, how long are you going to hide? The small voice reverberated between heaven and earth, and everyone's nerves were suddenly tense. Yamanaka whined hurriedly, hand seal with both hands, releasing the realm of perception. Whoosh! A broken sound suddenly sounded. A petite figure rushed out of the forest on the left. Looking at the incoming figure, Yamanaka's brows couldn't help but twitch. Too fast. This was his only thought, completely different from the Chinyu he had encountered. Shulker. Mitarashi Anko appeared 7 or 8 meters away from Orochimaru. Dozens and hundreds of poisonous snakes erupted from his right hand, and rushed towards Orochimaru with a stench. The violent blow made Orochimaru's expression suddenly change, and then he snorted coldly and said, "Anko, I didn't expect you to catch up here. It seems that the teacher underestimated you. The last time we met, when the teacher left, you refused to go with me. I said that the meeting would definitely kill you. This time, there is no teacher-disciple relationship to be missed." Orochimaru, who was among the venomous snakes in the sky, disappeared out of thin air. Appeared again, already coming behind Mitarashi Anko. The body turned into a venomous snake, and it quickly wound up, with a big mouth in the blood basin, directly biting Mitarashi Anko's neck. Too fast. In Mitarashi Anko's mind, the only thought flashed. Originally, her idea was to use a sneak attack to subdue Orochimaru with a shulker multi-serpent hand. Unfortunately, he was too impulsive and completely forgot the gap between the two sides. Looking at the fishy wind blowing in his face, Mitarashi Anko has only one thought in his mind now. How long have you been riding a horse without brushing Kiba? Anko, go to hell. Orochimaru laughed horribly. However, as soon as the voice came out, a figure surrounded by thunderlight rushed out from the ground. What a cruel teacher, it's the first time I've seen it. Chinyu jokingly smiled. I'm better at sneak attacking than she is, though. Rasengan. Chinyu's right-hand chakra circulated wildly, and then without any fancy, he smashed it directly into Orochimaru's chest. Boom. The chakra, which was madly compressed, was directly detonated like a volcano at this moment. The huge impact was released like a frenzy, turning into a torrent that directly overturned Orochimaru. In front of everyone's eyes, like a sandbag, it smashed heavily on a big tree dozens of meters away. Boom. The big tree that adults could embrace was broken. Sir Orochimaru, Yamanaka-Kei's face changed suddenly. However, I didn't have time to think about it, so I quickly pulled away and retreated. Although he was determined to take revenge on Aburame, when he saw that Uchiha Chinyu had escaped his perception domain, he was able to perform such a deadly attack on Orochimaru. The little fighting spirit that had been born in the first place disappeared in an instant. Hee, you don't need to make a fuss, he's not dead yet. Chinyu laughed dryly and said, the snake can shed its skin. I've been waiting for you and Danzo to join forces and bring it to the door. It seems that you can't hold your breath anymore. I'm afraid it took a lot of effort to deal with me. Let me guess. Did you get the impure world reincarnation and the improvement was successful? The small voice, in this piece of heaven and earth, seems to be filled with magical sounds. Orochimaru, who had collapsed in a large font in the ruins, wriggled terribly with the originally sunken chest. After a while, he, who was already dying, stood up again, revealing a hideous cheek under the human skin mask on his face. Good boy, I thought that Danzo was overestimating you, but I still underestimated. Orochimaru said, sticking out Yuhi's tongue. Since you know that I got the forbidden technique impure world reincarnation developed by the second generation Hokage, why are you still chasing after him? What is it that gives you such courage? What? Chinyu smiled playfully and said, if it was these fists, would you have laughed? Orochimaru, who said your words, Mitarashi Anko suddenly realized that he no longer had a sense of existence. Thinking of the conversation in front of the city gate, Mitarashi Anko became impatient. "You, who are you?" Hearing this, Orochimaru couldn't help but stunned for a moment, then said with a grim smile, "Anko, you don't even know his identity, yet you dare to hang out with him. It really makes me feel that you are still the same as when I left. Silly and naive." Uchiha Chinyu, the Uchiha clan has been hiding for 15 years and is the most outstanding, enchanting genius boy. Having the title of blood-colored Asura that shocked the ninja world, dare to fight in the Hokage mansion and kill the murderer of your colleagues, I think you will soon degenerate into missing nin and become the same existence as me. Speaking of which, Orochimaru grinned and stretched out his hand and said, "Actually, we are all like-minded people. It is better for you and me to join forces, possess the technique of impure world reincarnation, and your powerful pupil technique, the entire Konoha ninja village will fall into our hands." Quote. The slightly long voice made Mitarashi Anko stunned. She never imagined that the young man of the same age, whom she had always despised, would have such an identity. "What's the matter?" Chinyu said with a playful smile. "I've already said it before, but I have a famous reputation. However, I won't believe a fool's words like you do. Orochimaru, if you want these eyes, talk with your fists, you can't be as sneaky as mine." Orochimaru's expression suddenly changed. "Have you found it?" "Yes, of course I found out. Under my feet, there was such a big movement, and there were 3 statue-like figures in black robes, who didn't move even when you were smashed. Do you really think I'm a fool?"